Hey, welcome back.
What's
for another Hope class.
What's happening?
It's been a crazy week, man.
Bruh.
Man, a lot of stuff to cover, but also a lot of stuff that's surrounding us, huh?
Absolutely.
Let me say this real quick. With change comes opportunity.
Definitely true.
Right? I'm not playing this political game because too much of it is media enhanced, right? But with change comes opportunity. Also, too, you heard of the what's the name of that company? The AI company that just caught, huh? No, DeepSeek. DeepSeek. Yeah, NVIDIA. I'm talking about NVIDIA. My money's messed up because of NVIDIA. Anyway, I'm just playing. But I think DeepSeek is a prime example of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I don't know if it's true about the 5 million. I'm not even true about the chip. I'm not sure what details are true because information is still coming in. Oh, let me make sure I start this up. Okay. Yeah, information is still coming in. But I'll say this. DeepSeek is a prime example of how you can compete in this world, right? The very fact that a company with only $5 million has disrupt billions of dollars. 500 billion. NVIDIA lost 500 billion in one day. What's even crazier about that is
My stock went down.
Huh?
My stock went down.
Yeah, my stock went down too, so I'm not excited about it either. But it's also a soft reminder to black folks. We have this trauma that says what we can't do. We have this limiting beliefs, and this is another example of how this so-called stronghold that won't let us do anything. It's more or less culturally brought forward than actually exists in the system. The potentials for change and the things we can do in society. I have a book. The next podcast we're going to release for class is actually going to be a book. So you guys have to spend like $5 or $6 for an audio book. This audio book is like 2.5 hours. All right. And it was a strategy book that was written. It's fast. It's pretty fast, 2.5 hours. Strategy after strategy, but it's a great entrepreneur checklist. So if you either starting a company, or you ran a company before, or you're currently running a company, it's an excellent audit checklist to look at your business, right? It'll be sent by, I will send it out tomorrow. And in our last class of February, which is coming next month, we're going to have a discussion for the class. During the discussion, I want us to make sure that we're going to discuss the book. So if you guys have any questions, write your questions down because you're going to go through a checklist. So if you're starting a business, it's an excellent checklist. If you're running a business, it's an excellent checklist. And so as your questions arise from the book, the last class, I want us to have a conversation around all these strategies. They're really fast strategies, different ways of thinking. But one of the strategies they mentioned in the book that I think is really, really dope is be careful with copy and pasting.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to get into business, especially with the AI world, and just copy and paste everything. But what you don't realize that when you're copying and pasting, you're surrendering ownership and you're losing a competitive edge. You want to practice the art of understanding how things work and why they work. Don't become addicted to copying and pasting. I understand if you're in a rut and you got to make a move and you got to get through some stuff. But if anything you're copying and pasting, you need to understand how it works. Another reason you don't want to copy and paste is because as you grow a business and you copy and paste, you don't have enough ownership to even hire the right people to grow your business. So growing your business requires a degree of ownership. For example, it's important, when you first start, learn all the different roles your business needs for its personal growth. And as you learn all those different roles, that informs you on how to see the person you're trying to hire. If you're constantly taking shortcuts and running and engaging this hustle mentality, what you'll find is that when it comes time to grow and scale your business, it's not possible. In addition to that, too, let me say this last point, and this is also in the book, but it's it's like 2.5 hours of just tactics and strategies dropped on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But another thing, too, respect the struggle. When you see a lot of these businesses, I have a sneaky suspicion that a lot of black businesses that did really, really well during George Floyd. I do. And during George Floyd and during COVID, we're going to find out they're not as strong as we thought they were. And one of the reasons they're not as strong as that we thought they were is because they were being supported by a lot of outside resources that cause fast growth. But the problem with fast growth is that if you achieve fast growth, and for those of you who are like struggling and going through the process, when somebody achieves fast growth, they don't build a strong foundation. So when the money goes away, they have nothing to stand on. They can't even keep the money half the time because they have nothing to stand on. And so I know some of the people, I talk to people in this class, some entrepreneurs, and they're like, oh, I'm struggling, and they're comparing themselves what other people have in their pockets or their rate of growth. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. I'm already noticing some companies that they came out the gates, they were looking amazing, and you don't realize, between the venture. So when you bring an investor, you're surrendering ownership of your business. Okay, if you want to be an entrepreneur, try to avoid investments. Let me tell you what happens when you get investors. You go to have your meeting about what you're going to do next, and you're going to realize you're not making all the decisions no more. Matter of fact, you'll turn an entrepreneur role into a job role real fast, because as you meet the expectations and needs of the investors, you realize you damn near created a job. Like if you say, hey, I want to play the long game, I want to build this, I want to make these long-term investments, I want to move down this path. If you're too heavily invested, investors don't stay around that long. They're trying to get in and get out. They're trying to move as quick as possible. So a lot of times when we're talking this, oh, I want to get an investor, not how can I get an investor, we don't really understand the investment game. You don't realize the investment game means that you're trying to share ownership with people who don't share your interests. And so you have to know how this game works. And I'm not saying I'm not anti-investors. I'm saying I'm seeing this inertia towards investors that doesn't show intelligence and ownership of the process, right? So, and then everybody who invests in you doesn't necessarily understand business. You do realize that most of the businesses that black people are running, you're outside the lens of investors. They don't even see your kind of businesses. When investors decide they want to point their guns at the black community, your businesses are not making enough money for them to even give a shit about. So a lot of times when they come in, they provide a disservice, not because they're bad or evil, they just can't see you to support you. So one of the ways you can gain a lot of your stability is the struggle you're going through. I call it the conversion period. You're converting the way you think from the way you used to think to learning how to think like an entrepreneur. And you're learning to see the market. You're building a relationship with the market. If you stay in this game long enough, let's say you were able to take 5T Media away from me. I can smell the money now. I couldn't smell the money a long time ago. So a lot of times I would use professionalism, intelligence, and strength, and roar, and charisma, and think that was my tools to get money. You're learning as an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to see. And what you think you see, you don't see. Like there's really another reality that we're trying to describe to you and give you the ability to like enhance and embrace. And so a lot of times if you skip that process of the mental conversion and somehow somebody hypes you to a certain point, you're gonna realize you're almost underqualified to keep that business going. It's crazy. And it's a hard thing to stomach. But like even defensive thinking, you're right? So many of us have been taught to defense. Our culture is very defensive because of, growing up in America, it's hard for black people not to be defensive. It's very hard. But defensive thinking only can yield you limited results. Matter of fact, defensive business people think backwards. They don't think forward because they're always going back to their stories and protecting something that's not coming back, right? They're not owners of what does not exist. They're owners of what they experience. And their experience, you're going to find out in a little bit, is hella limited. And yet they plant flags on something that is not going to show up in their next occurrence. So we over leverage stories. Oh, I've been through this. I went through that. This happened. Last time I did this, this happened. And when I look at business and I watch this other person do business, you see how you're stuck in the past? As opposed to, there's so many unpredictable variables that you're walking into that you're using the past incorrectly. You have to learn how to think forward, which is offensive thinking. Where defensive thinkers automatically over leverage what they come through, what has happened in the past, and what others have done. But then they are always surprised when another company comes along with innovation and does something that's never been done before. That's the difference between offensive and defensive thinking. Interesting note before Court has any opening message before we jump into this class. Interesting. This is very interesting. Trip on this. This should kind of fuck with your thinking. In the 1960s, white people was close to 90% of America. In 2010, white people were 77% of America. In 2025, white people are down to 57%. I mean, I don't think you guys understand how powerful that is. Now you guys understand abortion laws, the reduction of abortion laws? Because when they say, what's the causation of white people culture shrinking? It's not having enough children. Now you understand abortion laws, right? It's integration. It's also immigration. There's a combination of things that's impacting, and currently, and white kids are just not producing offspring like they used to. So currently, right now, white youth are currently a minority in this country. If you go on Wikipedia, I heard somebody say, yeah, white people are 57%. Now, last time I checked, it was 77. So within less than 10 years, it went from 77 to 57. Imagine we got Africa back, right? We black, we proud, shit, Africa, we doing it. We building businesses, we becoming a dominant leader in the world. And then one day we wake up and Africa is mostly Chinese. Everybody's desire for self-preservation is real. So when Trump says make America great again, a lot of white people are aware they're in a major decline, a sharp decline. So you kind of can understand where they're coming from. Humanize them. Don't try to make them like, humanize them. If somebody told you your country where you were 90%, you've hitting 57%, all kind of alarms are going off. And so just something to think about as we continue, even diversity discussions and social justice. If you really want to understand a system, sometimes you got to change your angle of viewing the system, right? Change your height, change it. So for example, you could be micro and be on the ground level with it. You see it one way. You get on top of your house, you see it another way. You get on top of a hill, you see it another way. You get in a plane, you see it another way. What I just gave you was a plane insight to say, there's multiple causations to certain behavior. And when you see certain language being signaled, for example, let's say this is 1980 and you're running for president and you say, well, shit, if I get this percentage of white people, I'm good, right? But now that percentage ain't the same. So now I gotta dig up people that don't vote. So now I'm in Midwest and I gotta say things to them that kind of resonates with them because the numbers are shifting because the population is changing. I mean, you guys have to think about this stuff. Like, once you start playing with this population game, you start understanding, like, okay, I see. I see the play. And so, just something to think about when you look at the macro that 90% to 57%, and you think any human race would be like, I ain't tripping. Not in democracy. Go ahead, somebody get in front of the microphone. Yes, you say, okay, I was like, Shakina got her a rhinestone. Yes.
So could you put that in kind of like perspective of evolution? Like what percent does an animal become extinct? If you were 90% of a species dominating a space and you go down to 57%, at what point do you start calling that decline and extinction?
Well, here's something that's really interesting. Let's think offensive thinking. Defensive thinking would say we have to protect those old numbers. Evolution says there's no guarantee for nothing. Like nothing's. There's groups of people that are totally gone. There's groups of humans that are totally gone. Right? I'm sure the white male is a serious warrior. He's a warrior culture. Like, just call it what it is. You can have all your interpretations of how his style. You don't like his fighting style. You don't like his uniforms. You don't like the color of his horse. But he's a warrior. I don't see a warrior going out without a fight. So that means the language will change in the next 10 to 20 years. Some of the responses may change because there are a group of people saying, hey, this is not right. Also, I don't know what the population size now of poverty, but at one point there was 27 million poor white people, which was the largest population of people impoverished in America. So I get you got to understand, like, when you look at stuff, don't just necessarily look at one man's actions. You want to say, well, what's the causation of that? What's happening with that? And once you see the bigger numbers, just like in schools, like, me and Josh were talking about how the schools have become more social justice-y. But what we're really saying is more feminine. Now, stay with me. Men and women are perfect yin and yang. I hate when people try to place inferior, superior. It's the dumbest conversation to human existence. Matter of fact, when I was in Austin, Texas, the men were super, super stronger than the men in the Bay Area. Like, it was no comparison. It was horribly different. Even though it was blue, Austin, Texas men were like, I wish you would. Like, if you was in Austin, Texas and you fired on somebody, you might not win. You just might not win. You just might not win, right? We're in the Bay Area. You go to like Grand Lake on the weekend, you'll be looking like the champion, right? His woman will fight you. She'd be like, what you hit my man for, right? That's how it's a different energy. Okay, but the stronger men in Austin produce also stronger women in Austin. Because we don't realize we think my strength compromises your strength. No, my strength complements your strength. And so when you saw that energy of strong, like Texas women with strong Texas men, you're like, oh, this is an amazing fucking thing. Okay, so with that being said, if you built an institution and it became 70% male, then masculine male principles and ideas that we have would dominate the system. Not because we're going, take over the world, just based upon the percentage, right? So schools, when it became some percentage white, certain percentage feminine, then you start to see coddling and some of the women behaviors become dominant. We're losing that balance, right? I can honestly say, if you're in a situation where when numbers start to change and you start diversity numbers, you got to pay attention to what is that going to do to the culture? What's it going to do to business? What's it going to do to politics? What's it going to do to everything? Don't get social justice and say it shouldn't be that way. We're humans. We're fucking humans. And no matter how well we articulate ourselves, we do animal shit. And once you understand that we are human animals, when certain numbers change, that's an insight that you may have system changes. Not good or bad, just change. I don't want to get, because good and bad that's such a subjective thing, but just change. And so you can expect, like, you got to understand immigration now. You can understand I went from 77% to 57%. Gotta go. Right? Like, it's just, I understand how you think about it, but if you were in their shoes and they built a democracy where folks can vote, they're like, hey, we got to control numbers, baby. It matters. And so, think about this. Was it 10 years ago, everybody was talking about voting zones, right? Like changing the zones and marking that up. And that creates unfair advantages for different parties, right? Now we're talking about you went from 77% to 57% from 2010 to now you drop. They say it's really happened between 2016 and now. So within 9 to 10 years, and if you go on Wikipedia, it talks about the sharp decline and it's happening here, the UK, Canada, and one more place, another place could come, but it's happening in multiple places. And they're saying that by 2040 something, America is 2026. It's 2046 that America white should be minorities, and within 100 years, many places in Europe, whites should be the minorities. So that's a possibility that one group is not interested in letting that go. I promise you. And I wouldn't be either. As a man, if you told me in the next 30 years, the black male is going to be out of here, I'm going to be a minority, you got me fucked up. This is my country too. You got me fucked up. And so it's
They go talk to white women because that's how they're losing a lot of their numbers.
Let's not do this.
Hey.
Let's not do this.
Did she just hit me with the black woman?
Let's not do
You need
this.
to go
Let's not do this.
We not doing that.
We're not doing this.
Make
Kaja,
'em away downtown, walking fast, faces passing.
it's less.
Oh, God.
Wow. She hit-
Okay. All right. Either you or
Yeah,
say
wow.
I said
Okay,
no for that.
okay,
You
all
did.
right. I will say this. Half of the Christian, I mean, all the folks who are Christian here, half of your Bible, the second half of your Bible, a lot of those titles of those scriptures are countries. They were cultures. They were cultures of people. They were races of people that you don't even know, that don't even exist no more. The Corinthians, that's a place he visited to go talk to those people. That's not a place no more. Thessalonica and Philippians and all those are countries like the countries here, like the countries that are in current America. What adaptation and evolution does is if you're not strong enough, go. Doesn't care. You're gone. And so that's what the point I wanted to make is there's a thing called regression to the mean. Regression to the mean is however strong you start, whatever luck plays and whatever you're doing, eventually it will regress to whatever the best, the average version of you are. So if you are a 40% three-point shooter and you start the game and you hot, you hit 1 in a row, 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row. What's the odds of you hitting 5 in a row? It reduces every time. Why? Because the math says you're going to regress to the mean, meaning eventually you're going to start missing to even the numbers out to get to that 40% mark. Humans, we don't think like that. Most of the time we think, man, he keep giving the ball, he hot. If he made the last one, most humans think he's going to make the next one. So as humans, we got to understand how the reality of how life plays out more so than what we want to happen or what we feel should happen. We play reality like regression to the mean. And so if you are a craps player, most of the times if you've ever been to Vegas and played craps, and somebody hits a 7, and say there was money on the 7, and you just saw somebody make a whole bunch of money on the 7, and you're like, damn, I should have played the 7. Hold on. You put money on, a lot of people will put money on the 7 for the next roll. The odds of that happening have drastically reduced, but that's how a lot of humans think. You actually should not put it on the 7 that next roll. So like our behavior, we're this entrepreneurship shit is counterintuitive to our natural animalistic behavior. Like everything we're talking about how trends happen and things die out, and humans a lot of times will, without second order thinking, will fuck shit up. There was a place somewhere where they were trying to preserve this one particular animal. It was an elk or an antelope or something. So, and they felt like the predators were just tearing it up. And they were like, you know what? I got an idea. Let's hunt the predator animals so that they won't be killing off all of these elk. So they start killing the wolves and the mountain lions and all of those other things. And guess what happened? It was an overrun. The elk or deer, whatever, overrun the population.
The deer, yeah.
So then they start eating up all the grass and hunting the smaller animals. The smaller animals start dying out. They didn't realize that one of those small animals was the beavers that protect the dams. So when they ate up all the beavers, then the streams and the rivers were grossly affected. So the whole ecosystem of the area deteriorated because some people had a bright idea to preserve this one particular animal. And that's the idiocracy of us as humans. Sometimes we think we know everything. Our math is the whole math. We're at the end of the day, we know very little, and we got to move like that. So data is hella important.
Yeah, just why Shakina's coming to grab the microphone. Same thing happened in Hawaii. There was this particular deer they had in Hawaii, and they tried to bring the deer to Hawaii, for certain purposes, and the animal started replicating itself so fast. Like they was doing I think it's 5,000 a season, but it was it was exponential growth, right? So it was reproducing itself so fast that they said the animal just started dying because there was no more grass. So they say it would fly over and they see this huge mound of just brown stuff, and they got up, they brought the plane down, and they realized no, it's just a huge group of animals just dead because they were reproducing so fast that they were killing off the food they needed because there was not enough, the grass couldn't grow fast enough for the speed that the animal was growing. But it was all because somebody decided to bring, I think, 1 or 2 animals over, and it just took off on them. So one of those things that understanding that you have to submit to the rules of the universe over the rules of your feelings. Shakira says it best. She says this all the time. She says, feeling good is not a strategy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's not a strategy. That makes me feel good. It's not a strategy. Go ahead, Shakira.
Yeah.
It was hecka funny because literally when we were having the conversation about white people's decline, I thought about that example that was in the book a few years ago, and my brain goes to think about, okay, you go in and you read something like the Yuval Hall book, and you start realizing that we're all replaceable, and the only thing that we got is trying to become the surviving race. At some point we're all going to die, and at some point all of our lineages are going to be gone. So I mean, I understand the whole idea of, you going to fight to the end because that's in us, but also too, you can't reign forever. You're gonna die, and you just trying to get the best odds for survival for the longest time is
yeah. But the evolution science, it's as human beings, what is our main desire? One of our main desires is preserve ourselves. That's why we would kill people over our kids, right? Because and as a nation, nations invest. Black folks is in a bad space, so we don't get it. But most nations invest in the preservation of their people. So when that decline starts to happen, all alarms go off. Now, if you just idling and being pop culture and just enjoying the culture and I'm just out here writing my next album, whatever, you might miss that conversation. But people who run a nation, that's serious, right? And so you're right in the context that our desires don't control the future, right? So because we might desire, I want black people to be here forever and walk through Africa with tennis shoes and pick fruits off of trees. But the next generation might say, we don't want to do that. Right? Next generation might say, we just want to integrate. We want to just have sex with each other and produce another version of the race. We don't really get to control that. I would love to say we control that, but we don't get to control that. Now, what's amazing is there are rules in the universe that does limit what human beings can and cannot do. And we have things baked inside of us that also limit things we can and cannot get away with. And you can get one-offs because the bigger the population, the more you have examples of one-offs. That's a mathematical equation. But overall, on a general basis, human beings baked in us is to protect our offsprings. We're just you want to see a woman kill you? Mess with her offspring. I remember this. When I was growing up in the 70s, when men and women used to fight, I see a man and woman fighting. Well, a woman getting beat up by a man, and he's winning until he touched the kid, and it just becomes, oh damn, mama ain't playing that, right? And so it's just one of those things that preservation is a serious human desire. we don't get to override. And matter of fact, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be here today.
Hey, there's also an issue going on in Japan where there's more adult diapers in circulation in Japan than there are baby diapers.
That's crazy. That's sad.
And the consensus was everyone in the baby making age group is like, I'm focusing on my career. The women are like, I'm focusing on building my career. It's not important for me to get married right now. So that's great. It could be a good philosophy for you, but if a national philosophy for the country is deteriorating, so there's a year that if they don't start fucking,
You understand me?
and making babies, then it's a year that they already have set that it's over. You're thinking South Korea has issues too right now because the discipline is so strong that once they decide to do X, they're doing X. So then there's a whole population that could disappear based on that. So it is crazy to think about stuff like that, but that's real macro level observation and thinking like, oh yeah, well, 1 + 1 = 2, right? So if you don't do that, then this is what's going to happen. So they're trying to bring people out, offering to give people free land and homes to come to those countries to help them make babies. Like it's a real thing.
Are you ready to get into this? What kind of distortion? Just a way to loosen up the mind, do a little mental conditioning. So let's jump into it. Let's go next slide. Ready, Shabisha? Let's do this.
Jumping to conclusions or fortune telling. A sister distortion to mind reading.
Oh, yes.
Fortune telling refers to the tendency to make conclusions and predictions based on little to no evidence and holding them as gospel truth. So an example, a young single woman predicting that she will never find love or have a committed and happy relationship based only on the fact that she has not found it yet.
I mean, can we just almost say this is how race shows up in our minds as black people? Like, if you're still limited by racism, you are also victim of jumping to conclusions and defensive thinking. Because you'll say, in Black Wall Street, what year, somebody look at what year is Black Wall Street? Somebody gonna wait for someone, y'all fast. Some of y'all got this down to a game. Was it 1920 something?
21.
1921, okay. So 1921, 104 years ago, they didn't let us, hey, so those same day.
Don't do that.
Same day today.
Yeah.
They spread out. They done become ninjas and shit, right? They all through society. And they ain't gonna let us today. What are you talking about? And if I try to argue you're offended.
Right.
Matter of fact, there's somebody online right now that just almost turned their screen off because they said, oh, no, the fuck he ain't. You're jumping to conclusions. And if I ask you, prove it to me. Simple. Prove it to yourself. Prove to me that racism absolutely has an iron wall that says you can't make it. In addition to that, are you implying that you should receive zero friction because of the oppression of your ancestors and oppression of your childhood and oppression of your lifestyle? Should you say there should be no resistance? Any entrepreneur that I know would tell you that's all we deal with is resistance. Like we deal with resistance. All our ideas are never. I don't remember last time I had a great idea and everybody was applauding. Oh my God, Nana, we're ready to buy it right now. Let's go. The reality is that we learn the resistance is actually our educator, right? But when we're traumatized by it, the resistance has a negative connotation to it. I would almost argue that the narrative that we run in our community is often jumping to conclusions. And what conclusion we jump to often? They won't let us. Or, let me another narrative. Black folks black women, black men, hood cats, hip hop dudes. We jump to conclusions, and I say, "Well, what's your proof?" The government. Jumping to conclusions.
Hey, I used to think about the interracial relationship thing was crazy high. I used to think about, because you see it and it's on TV, till I looked at the statistic. 90% of black folks marry each other. Like, oh, that's crazy. Crazy with the perception in my head. So it's only 10% that's not, which is a statistic that was new once I looked at the numbers. Jumping to conclusions happens to all of us. We do this every day. I'm sure I would bet that most of us in this room did it more than once today. I went to the Chase ATM about 3 weeks ago. And I walked in and I walked to the left machine. Left machine was down. It was broke. This machine does not take deposits, checks. We ain't got no money in here. Fuck. All right. So I go to the one on the right and it works. Do my thing. So I go back to that same Chase ATM 3 or 4 days ago. And I walk in and it's a long line. And the ATM on the left, nobody's going to. So my brain automatically went to, oh, it's probably still down. So I wait in line like everybody else. So I get maybe 2 people behind where it's my turn, and a lady comes in and she says, why nobody's using this one? And so I say, because it's broke. I get to the machine. I start taking my money out. She says, in her mind, I guess, fuck it, I'm gonna try it anyway. So she walks up to the thing, and I'm like, see, hard-headed, you don't want to fucking listen. Here we go. And you know what I hear? The money machine coming out. Ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. I'm like, so I laugh like, there I go, jumping to conclusions based on evidence of one time. And now it made me remember, man, I got like making assumptions and jumping to it's something we got to work on as entrepreneurs, because anytime doing that and when we're wrong, it could damage us.
Now, jumping to conclusions is often defeated by questions. Okay, let's take it down to some micro level. You're selling your products and no one's buying it, and you say they probably hating on me. They probably like this person's stuff better. Did you even ask the customer a question? You jump to a conclusion, right? Let's say you come to me and say, hey, now I have a business idea. And I said, tell me your idea. And you say, well, I want to do this. I'm like, nah, that doesn't make any sense. You should think about it this way. And I disagree with this. And this is how the market actually works. And I think you're out of alignment. You're leaving and go, oh, he's just trying to hate on my idea. Jump to a conclusion. Oh, he don't like me because I'm a woman. Jump to a conclusion. He trying to keep me out of the market. Jump into a conclusion. Mm-hmm. You don't say, hey, can I ask you a question? It's okay to have the thought. It's dangerous when you solidify the thought in your mind. And you say, no, this is what it is. With no evidence. None. That's why jumping to a conclusion is almost a defensive way of thinking, period. Offensively, you got to understand that your brain is always predicting. It's always trying to predict. You can't get rid of your prediction part of your brain, right? That's at the core of how your brain works. But you have to understand that when it comes to other people, you don't know. I was talking to Josh earlier today, and me and Josh were having a cool conversation. No details. I can't share details because because I don't want to talk about your sex life. Being proposes this. And so I don't want to share any details about what's going on with him, right? And so
Hey, yo.
That's what he said. But what he says, and so in the jumping to conclusions section, what we said was,
I don't know.
As he's talking to me, I said, Josh, I have a hypothesis about something about you. Can I share? If I would have said, Josh, you know what I think you are? That's another way of expressing jumping to conclusions. What I realized with every human being in this room, you guys are hella complex. And what I see may not be what I see. And a lot of times what I see is only what I'm able to see or whatever I'm focusing on. So a lot of times, even when you're engaging with people on something where you want to make it personal, like, hey, Kaja, I think you are, you have to let people know that I'm just guessing. It's not personal. I'm just guessing. Mm-hmm. And once another variable jumps up, I'm going to realize I don't own that space. So the way you defeat jumping to conclusions, you have to accept what you can't see and what you don't know. The desire to validate yourself by your knowledge or your education is another distortion. Your education should make you feel should give you less ownership of what's going on around you. Because the more you know, the less you realize, the more you realize you don't know. Mm-hmm. Right? And so ultimately, jumping to conclusion is this kind of protective way of engaging reality that punishes you. Because if it becomes a situation where like, oh, you know what, even when you say like, oh, I'll never be good at that. What do you mean? Why would you say that? What are you anchored in that you believe that? And you realize you haven't even thought about it. You just saw a couple of examples. This happened, that happened. Okay, it's not for me. How do you know it's not for you? So jumping to conclusion is this hidden, invisible superpower that's always in your brain, that's always trying to assign meaning of what you can and cannot do. Let's do the opposite side of jumping to conclusions. You're running around giving a hell of business advice and you never ran a business.
Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Jumping to conclusion. How do you, because
come on,
the journey rewards you with the knowledge, not the book.
Hey, wow. The what?
The journey rewards you with the knowledge, not the book.
That's game. That's game.
Like I can raise your, if you came to Hope and you didn't try to build anything, this class would definitely raise your status. Because you can sit in a room and you can wow people with beautiful insights and charisma. But doesn't reward you with success. I had a talk with one of my brothers earlier today, and when I was discussing with him, I said, learning without walking the path or being on the journey is like taking a karate class without fighting people. Boy, you kick the hell out of that bag, boy. You see that roundhouse?
Yeah. That bag don't punch back though.
He don't punch back. So what happens is you start jumping to conclusions. You know, I think your business decisions are poor. I think you just need to think about this differently. Yeah, I became a business coach. I want to give you some insight. What?
Wow. Remember, dude?
I see him all the time. I won't forgive me for that one.
Yeah. Hey, quick story. So I had a consultant come into my office one day and help me with my business. So I didn't know him from a can of paint. So I'm like, sure, I put my humble hat on. So I'm sitting down talking to this man, and 2 minutes in, I realized he was full of all kind of shit. So I'm like, hey, time out. I gotta go. You full of shit. Not in say it, telling me full of shit, but basically like, man, once I was like, wait, what do you do again? Man, get up out of my office, kind of. So I see him, and I tell Nana the story. And then one day we in the gym working out, and I'm like, wait, that's the dude right there. And Nana goes over there and just jams him the hell up, lights his ass up. Like this, we recommend books and all kind, and talk about the ego problem. And the funny part is, none of it went in. None of it affected him. It wasn't like, oh, I get it now. It was like, okay, well, next time I see you, I'm gonna still posture the same way.
And he does.
And it made me think, damn, like we as a culture are so damaged from some of these cognitive distortions that it may take 5-10 years, failures, losing for it to actually sink in. Because the stuff that we say about these cognitive distortions, some of it may sound funny. It may be cool, or it may be like, oh, that's interesting. But it's not until you feel it from some sort of pain that it comes back to you and be like, oh, that's what I'm doing. Now it resonates. Now it resonates with you, and now it bonds with you almost. Because observational knowledge and jumping to conclusions, we're going to do it tomorrow. But when it damages your business, you're going to be more conscious about it.
Matter of fact, I'll give you an example when jumping to conclusions has been commercialized. How many of you guys been on YouTube and informed of opinion? That's jumping to conclusions. Thank you for thank you for being honest. The rest of them like this. Some people like this, but whatever. Jumping to conclusions is like one reason I was like I can't judge a Diddy discussion. I don't have any inside information. Why the fuck I have a judgment? How can I have a judgment? Right? Like think about this. A lot of stuff that you judge. I saw the mayor from New York, and remember there was a period when he was giving away. He gave the migrants, I think, $50-something million in credit cards. And everybody jumped to the conclusion, oh, what about all the poor black people? What about all the poor this, poor that, right? Then they interviewed him. Stephen A. Smith interviewed him. And he started giving insights on how the laws are written and how he had to navigate that. And actually, the $58 million was a discount from the money they were spending, from the money they had to spend on feeding the people that was required by law, right? Because the people wouldn't eat the food, so the food waste was so high that they realized that they gave the people a credit card that allowed them to spend $11 a day at the local businesses. The local businesses of food they wanted, the money would be recycled back into society. So it becomes this thing where, because he was actually won awards from being one of the most fiscally smart leaders in this country, right? But everybody jumped to the conclusion when they heard about he giving $58 million of credit cards to the migrants. Once you get the details behind the scenes, you realize, oh, so the reason you got to preserve all your emotions, the world sucks and I am in, all this shit's bullshit. When I meet people who are like want to spend all day talking about politics, I'm like, you jump to a lot of conclusions. Oh, this is the worst country in the world. Based upon what? Based upon what? I just kill me out. Like, give me a time in human history where we had it this good. I'll wait for you. Matter of fact, I go to the cafe, give me something to eat, come back, give you a little time to go on your internet, use your AI, and show me a time when this is an area where, like, man, the world was so much better here and at this time, and this is why. And I realized you just been jumping to conclusions this whole time. Go ahead, Jasadi.
I also want to add to that, online, for some reason, I guess because all the Trump stuff, it's been like pushing on my algorithm to like black folks who moved to Thailand. It's like a whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, move to Thailand is better. America sucks, all this stuff. And it's like, but once you like get deep, like they'll show all these examples, like I'm living a higher quality of life. I don't pay that much for like my bills and my rent and stuff. And then once you get into the details, like, but you work an American job, so you getting paid online, like, so it's like you're talking about all this bad stuff about America, but literally America's funding your long stay in Thailand.
Yeah, and people also the mobility in America is crazy. Look at human history. Look at other countries. The mobility in America, it's crazy. You born poor in a lot of places, you gonna die poor. Yeah, that's in the conversation. Yeah. You are what the government say you are. Yep. Right. America's ability to have mobility growth and changes. Yeah, you can have beef with white folks historically, and guess what? I'll be at the head of that beef meeting. But you gotta still be able to separate what's happening now. And you got to also put things into context. Imagine right now, Kaja, if I threw you in jail because of what your great-grandfather just did. You look at me like, I don't even know that dude. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, nah, that's your bloodline. You can see how some white people be like, man, I don't even want to have this conversation. Then you might say, well, but they benefit from that. Yeah, but benefit doesn't mean they own it in the future. Because as we all know, passing money down to 3 generations is almost unheard of. So that means that every generation there's new opportunity for you to gain, because of America's mobility, to gain access and control of resources. And then America allows you to gain access and control of resources with a degree of freedom you don't realize is a big thing. It's a big fucking thing. So I'm not a right-wing Republican trying to play like I'm pro-black. I'm super pro-black. But what I realized when you start playing offense and you start looking around the world, you realize, oh, I've been romanticizing the way the world works. I was jumping to conclusions. Once you start reading about how the world really works, you realize, oh, you're in a space of opportunity. Take advantage of it. Everybody can hear my voice probably is in the United States. If you live in the United States, I understand the past. I'm not trying to remove that because I agree with you. I understand racism that we still face. I agree with you. I understand systemic racism, but it only exists because it's unbothered. Once we break those systems, things change.
Also, too, before we go away on this, is it can happen on the quote unquote positive side too. Say you put your product out, and you get immediate positive feedback. So this happens a lot in apparel sales and in people who sell a product. They say, hey, let me test the market with this T-shirt. So I'm gonna put it on Instagram and say, hey, Instagram, would you buy this T-shirt? And they get 700 likes saying, fire, fire, fire. It's a great T-shirt. So they're like, cool. I got 700 likes. Court, make me 700 T-shirts. And I'm like, hey, cuz, I don't know if that's a good idea. No, it's gonna blow up. I got 700 likes. I never got 700 likes before on anything. Go ahead and run it. All right, we'll run it. Guess what? 3, 4, 5 shirts sold. Because jumping to conclusions, just because they like it doesn't mean they're going to convert. Doesn't mean they're going to press the buy button. Or you caught them at the right time in the right algorithm, but 2 days from now, maybe you posted that on the 15th. Everybody had money in their bank account. And then when you went to go press buy on that Monday or Tuesday, the 19th, where all that money was gone, they wasn't thinking about that funky ass shirt. So there's variables, but jumping to conclusion happens all the time. This is gonna blow up crazy, and you cheating. Like it goes both ways.
A lot of marketing a lot of times we engage marketing, we're not engaging marketing because marketing is a listening exercise. We're jumping to the conclusions. I don't love this logo. In the beginning, I can almost argue if you're just starting a business, fuck your logo. Go sell some shit. Because selling some shit will help you learn the market you're trying to serve. Mm-hmm. If you start at the gate and you build all this money, you pour all this investment and all this stuff, and you're buying software, and you're buying this, you got a building, you got all this stuff, you made all your decisions based upon jumping to conclusions. Mm-hmm. By the way, real quick, Core Smith shit, though.
Hey, that hoodie
shit.
clean.
Hey, look, check this shit out. Hey, between me and you, I can't wait to get this piece. This is one of my favorite pieces. This is So this is coming out of Core Smith. This is Black Panther brand. I wore this on purpose because I want to just show y'all. This is one of my favorite hoodies. But this is made by our boy right here. So so jump to conclusion. Go get that shit. Anyway,
you gotta go get it to the Black Panther site.
Yeah, the Black
we
Panther
did a
site.
collaboration with them for their gear. So go to Black Panther site.
But this is that Core. Look at that Core Smith right there. Sell it clean.
But we put our little splash
anyway,
on
go
it.
ahead.
You feel me?
Go ahead, Kai. I'm just sorry. I had a moment.
Thank you.
This is one of my favorite hoodies now.
It looks nice. Before we leave, jump into conclusions. You made a point about just because people liked it doesn't mean you'll be able to convert them. And I think we just saw an exercise of that for the however many hours, but even in the lead up to TikTok going down for people who are running businesses that are contingent on a social media audience, the conversion of building a following in one social media space and then trying to convert it to a space of monetization. So trying to maybe get people to a Patreon, trying to get people to a YouTube channel where you have an opportunity to monetize it. It is difficult to do that because people will normally continue to look for you in the space where they found you. So if that's a free space, it's hard to move them over. Like I bought in to have a website created because I would be in professional spaces given my Instagram page, and it didn't feel right. But now that I have the website, it's been active for right at 30 days. I only have 10 people who signed up to the website. So can you talk a little bit more?
That's actually good.
That's not bad. That's great.
That's actually good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
In 1 month?
In 1 month, that's great.
What the fuck?
Because of everything you just said.
It's not fast. It's not fast.
Kaja, that's hella good.
That's great.
I make that face based on this. If Instagram were to shut down tomorrow, I can't do nothing with them 10 people.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. But that's another conversation. Keep going.
So, I don't know. Sometimes I wish, I don't know if it's online. I would love if we had somebody in Hope who had built a social media based business, because I would love to find out the strategy behind converting people who, when you built an audience in a free space, converting them to a paid space. Like,
That's a hard conversion.
Some people ask me, "Oh, are you ever going to do merch for the podcast?" And I thought, okay, well, if they're asking, maybe somebody wants it, but I would rather do drop shipping so I don't end up in that situation you just described. They'll print one when you buy it versus me buying inventory and it's sitting on my books. But that's a small way to convert. Everybody's not going to buy a tote or a mug or whatever it is you're selling. So I don't know how to move people.
You know,
from A to
let
B.
me say this real quick. Let me say this real quick. Have you used tools to look up? Because I don't think that's a hard question to answer if you research it, because that's have you looked at other YouTube people who are talking about the business that you're in that talked about that conversion? So, but you haven't. I don't feel like you own that.
Thing number one.
That's the problem. Is not the problem. Is
Thing
not the
number
problem.
one.
Is not the challenge. The problem is your relationship to the problem.
Yep. Thing number one.
Because I hear that the information you're discussing. I even have hypotheses because there's certain rules and principles that you're discussing that says converting is not that simple, right? And how do you convert? And what are techniques that people use to convert? And what is the rate of success around those conversions? That information is available. Also, I bet you if you just, when you leave this class, like ask ChatGPT that question and see how close you get. And you'll be like, because ChatGPT is a statistic-based software. That's all it really is, statistic-based software. So when you ask questions like this, it's going to pull all the data and look at the most richest possible answers it can provide. You can ask ChatGPT to continue to dive into it. But if I can get you close enough to the lane, then your questions can be more targeted, more specific to like, hey, I'm at this stage here and I'm about to pull this lever versus that lever. Can we discuss those two possible levers? And how do I test which lever, or how do I test those levers before I fully commit to those levers, right? But I think it's one of those things where I think the biggest question you want to ask yourself, this is a crazy question. Why haven't you looked at it? Like, why haven't you, what muscle do you need to train new? That's a muscle. Like, when I talk about becoming an entrepreneur, we have different muscle usage. So when we have a problem, I remember there's a time when I used to have a problem, like, who can I call? Now I have a problem like, okay, I got like 10 different tools I can use right away and to get me close as possible to the answer, because there's nowhere in the world you're gonna always have the answer. I can promise you within 2 months, you'll be back here on another problem, right? So then how do you develop that muscle that knows how to get to faster answers or enrich the conversation to gauge dialogue with the right people to get faster responses? But I find it that's something that should be recorded really easy. I don't think your question is a difficult question. I think the biggest question for you is not the question, not the problem, is the way that you're training your brain to show up to those kind of problems is the challenge for you.
I got a question for you too. How much time do you spend a week on your business? Hour-wise.
A lot.
How many hours a week?
I would say, how many hours in a week? It's 24 hours a day, 24 times 5, so like 100 to 5. I would say I spend at least 40 hours a week doing something in relation to the business.
You spend about 40 hours a week on your business. And how much of that time is research?
At minimum, 15 to 20. Maybe half of that is research.
15 to 20, half. And what are you researching?
I'm researching industry trends. I'm researching like restaurant openings, who has something, who's in competition shows. I'm looking for prospects to interview. I'm looking at what PR media companies have just started representing food talent. I'm looking at what areas internationally are, a lot of black food cropping up in Asian countries. I'm looking at those kinds of trends because those are the conversations that inform the podcast.
Got you. And then that other 20, what are you spending?
I am sending out proposals for people to be on the podcast. I'm tracking the expenses. I'm planning the travel for the year. I am sending now pitch emails to brands to advertise on the podcast. I'm doing more of the administrative work.
Got it. Okay, so I think that's where there's a great opportunity for you, is that 20% of your time, 50% of your time is spent on the execution of plays, of a play, right? The execution of your business. And the other 50% of your time is doing prospecting to execute, right? So there's 0% of your time learning how to write plays, learning whether or not you're doing the right thing, learning from others, getting insights on how to even run your business. So I would allocate at least a third, if not half of that time, being a student of your game. Because if anytime you're in an industry and you're not getting the results that you want, that means you got to put your student hat on for the majority of that. Because you're only going to get the output from the input that you have, regression to the mean, right? So right now your mean is low because you're saying, I only get this. I'm not getting no conversion. So your mean is low. So all the shit that you were saying you do only makes you regress to a low mean. You got to raise your mean by raising your skill by being a student. Anytime I'm not getting the results I want in any part of my business, I put all that shit down. Put it down. Stop shooting the ball. Put it down. Nuh-uh. We're not shooting today. Coach is just going to teach me footwork. The fuck, this is hella boring. Yep, it's going to be boring. And we doing this all practice, just footwork. You're not getting the ball back until you get your footwork down. All right, after 3-4 days of that practice, once I see your footwork's right, then I'll pass you the ball again because you can't even see it. That's what good coaching and being a student does. Running stuff past people, like you're further than 90% of people. So I'm not talking like this is a bad thing. You're further than 90% of the people, meaning 90% of people won't even try to start their shit. So you're already 90% ahead of everyone. All I'm saying is spend about a third of that time looking up, getting game, how to. What do I need to do? I don't even know what I don't know. Define what conversion actually is. Like, okay, I'm prospecting, but how do I show value? Where's my value at? I get 10 people who subscribe to my email list in 1 month. Is that good or is that bad? And what could I do with those 10? Like when you said, what can I do with 10 people? And the whole crowd was like, whoa, yeah, that means they know something you don't know. Well, what is that? I need to learn that then. Because if I can turn 10 into 20, 20 into 40, 40 into 80, 80 into 160.
He's something dope.
Kind of. Same philosophy, you feel me? Same philosophy, you feel me? You feel me? Same philosophy. Yeah. Then that's compounding. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, damn me, player. Rules, baby, rules. All right. You got a question? We go next slide. All right, next slide.
This might be the only place where strategy and selling dope you see this play. I don't know anybody else who's doing it. Magnification, catastrophizing, or minimization.
Oh yeah.
So also known as the binocular trick. This distortion involves exaggerating or minimizing the meaning, importance, or likelihood of things.
I can almost tell you this is stopping you from seeing opportunities. Also, this is often amplified by the shrinkage. So you ever somebody says, man, your son's doing really good. Oh, that big waterhead kid. That's minimizing. But in Oakland, we're also magnifying. You know, I'm doing big things out here.
Oh,
I'm a boss. I got things going. Read the example real quick.
An athlete who makes a mistake may magnify the importance of that mistake and believe they are a terrible teammate, while another athlete who wins a coveted award may minimize its importance and continue believing they are mediocre.
So I would almost say, this is weird. I talk to a lot of people. Let's say we just had this conversation with Kaja. And we say, hey, Kaja, you need to work on your business. The reason Court said you're 90%, because he wanted to make sure that she didn't do this. Mm-hmm. It's really easy for her to say, man, I'm fucking up. Or you'll hear somebody who they made a mistake in life, or they got caught. Well, either one. Make a choice. And they shrink their whole life to the mistake itself. Mm-hmm. But the reverse of that is also just as bad. Somebody who had one win in corporate America, and now you're a head leader, big time, running big shit.
Write a book.
You write a book and all kind. Please, don't do that shit again. So, a lot of us, okay, our culture has so many, the black culture has so much baked in innovation that we take for granted because we minimize ourselves so much. Like, how many times are you guys tired of like something that we got do in the hood and then white folks get wind of it and they make millions off of it, if not billions off of it? Shit that you do every day, common practices, dances. I would not even be surprised if motherfucking sideshows becomes an Olympics. Like, I'm not even exaggerating that shit. I am not exaggerating 10% because you minimize our culture too much. Yeah. We minimize the shit out of our culture, and quite often somebody comes to our community and they see it, but we also talk with the minimization. Oh, nigga, you ain't shit. You hear all that? Oh, you hear all that minimization I just did? Oh, nigga, you ain't shit. Oh yeah, like, or I had a staff member do this to me, like, now you still hood because remember the other day you did this? Fuck you mean I'm still hood? Like my imperfections make me, fuck no, I'm not still hood. But it was their minimization of me makes them feel better. Mm-hmm. But also that minimization happens to yourself. So a lot of times you'll walk in a room with other people, you won't even speak on something because you're focused on your minimization as opposed to just being in the room.
And here's science. This is science. Your relationship with your brain is important. And the words you use to communicate to others and yourself is what helps you regulate your brain and your heart and your nervous system. So if you are a magnifier in your words, everything is a fucking catastrophe. I can't stand being around people like that. At work, I have people come in, Court, we got a problem. Okay, what is it? And it's something this big. Man, stop doing that. That's not a problem. We got some big problem. What is it? Something this big. Oh, that's just your wording. Like you have to say that. That's your habit. That's a pattern. Don't do that shit with me. This is a little challenge that we got to get through. We got something to work through. But if you're a magnifier where everything is a big deal, then that means your heart is always pumping. Your heart is always pumping. So that means your nervous system is all out of whack and stressed. So once you understand and get into a relationship with reality, then you'll truly understand whether something is a big deal or not. It goes the same way the other way, minimization. You have to know what a win is. That's what I'm working through is if you've always minimized your wins, your brain doesn't really know what a win is.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to be reminded, like, no, time out. look how far you've come. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Yeah. All right, man. It's crazy. So having a relationship with reality allows you to see what your win, what an actual win is, what a loss is, what a true problem is, what bump in a road is, versus all of those things, to where you get clarity. And when you communicate that with others, it allows you to be trusted. Because if you always cry and wolf around other people with magnification or minimization, then you build a small hint of mistrust around people. So they're like, there he go again, putting 2 on the 10. That's what 2 on the 10 is. It's scientifically, it's called magnification.
Matter of fact, okay. Somebody comes in your house. Oh, I had a hard day. It's just crazy out here. Magnification. Or I had a great day and your business is trash. Minimization. Right? Like, I can't tell you. Can we get on the hood, some hood shit? Have you noticed how hood magnifies every fucking thing? I don't know. Okay, maybe y'all don't have a hood family. I do. But they're like, man, shit be real out here. Motherfuckers be hating on me out here. It's crazy out here. It's hard out here. Man, I be so stressed out. That's why I be doing that, bruh. I hate that shit. I be like, I'm too old to be talking to me like this. but when somebody says to me, I be like, age gap. Yeah, I hate that shit. But like, people, especially hood people, almost rally around magnification. Man, I'm going through so much. Man, last week I was so sick, and I couldn't even move. I felt like my life was coming to an end. Man, oh my God, you shut the fuck up. like when I hear magnification, I'm almost an asshole. I tune you out. I used to say stop magnifying, but then I realized I created friction. So now if somebody goes, man, it's just the worst. And I'm like, oh, like for example, you say, man, I got destroyed today. I say, what, you lose a lot of money? No. Your business closed? No. Yeah. It just was, I had customer complaints and shit was busy and I was working all day.
Yeah. It was horrible. You know the definition of horrible? Right. My whole house burnt down. That's horrible.
Yeah. Somebody in Palisades, you got that. You got that.
Yeah.
The UPS was late and said they're going to bring it tomorrow.
Horrible. That's horrible.
Come on, dog.
Yeah, that's real.
But think about all the baggage you carry when you magnify and all the stuff you lose visual over because you minimize. You carry all this unnecessary weight when you magnify.
Yep.
And when you
Absolutely.
minimize what you don't see.
Absolutely.
That's the imbalance there. And so part of that is putting things in the context. Matter of fact, be careful hanging around magnification and minimizing people, because it becomes the way the herd talks to each other. Remember, we're products of our situation. So everybody in your circle is always magnifying. You start magnifying. Your senses will change. You understand, like, your senses are not locked in. I'm talking all your senses. Every sense you have, every emotion you have is not locked in. And you're around people who magnify, so do you. You're around people who minimize, so do you. You ever been around when social justice people are like, he used the they term. You know what that means? It doesn't mean a motherfucking thing. But if you maximizing everything, he just destroyed that person. No, I'm one person just said I didn't even touch the person. I never
Right.
like, it's just one of those things where, like, we're magnifying. When somebody says something to us, who's this person?
Right.
Why do you give a fucks?
Yeah. And you can only magnify so much to a limit to where now you're exposed. One of my mentors, he built a $70 million company, and he's a black man from Jamaica, like grew up poor, like 7 brothers and sisters with just his mom, like, and there's nothing I can say in Oakland, the Oakland shit, turf, streets, dope game, anything that will move him emotionally. he look at me and be like,
What do I do with this?
so, like, that's nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so one day I sent him a video of like the shootout in Jamaica, and it was ugly, and he was like, that's normal. I'm like, damn, bro, like that's it right there. Like, so that's why nothing. And I brought him to the like 92nd and East 14th parties with me, and he just stand there, no fear in his body. And because the magnification and minimization depends on your experience. So he's experienced so much, and he learned to deal with reality so strong because he ended up going in the military and was like Green Beret, and like, so his experience of the world of what's horrible is way different than anybody on this, like in our walk in the streets normally. So it gives you a perspective. It's kind of like when like anybody here who say come from the hood or any tough environment, they start at the corporate world and they hear the complaints and the crying of the people who they work with, and it's like, that's what you crying about? Because we've gone through so much worse things. And so magnification, minimization is all from a perspective scale depending on what you've gone through. But reality is reality.
Next slide. Go ahead, Teresa.
Emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning refers to the acceptance of one's emotions as fact. Example, if I feel it, therefore it must be true. A person may feel jealous and think their partner has feelings for someone else, even without evidence.
Go ahead, bro.
Men in here, I'm sorry, for now I'm talking to them brothers. Have you ever been in a relationship with a woman and she had a dream you cheated on her and was mad at you in real life? The feeling,
We still in here, you know.
I feel, therefore it's true. And so you didn't even do nothing. You was laying there sleeping next to her. But the dream and the feeling made it true. And the behavior was indicative of the feeling. So you got treated in a bad way. That's what we do all the time, everywhere. Is if I feel something, the neurons that fire off in our brain, we believe it. It's true at that point. So if I feel jealous, if I feel angry, if I feel slighted, if I feel disrespected, if I feel any of those feelings, I defer to those feelings more than I defer to the truth.
Reasoning. It's crazy.
It's the craziest thing. You don't have to. That's what makes the human brain so tricky. And we have to detach from our emotional reasoning and understand that it's just a feeling that will pass. It's gonna pass. And then now, what's the truth? Have you ever spoke to somebody that you thought was on cool basis with, and they didn't acknowledge you, and you thought they was mad at you? And then, and depending on who you are, you might have been, man, fuck that dude. So the next time you see him, you don't speak to him because he didn't speak to you. Well, no, I just didn't see you. I'm sorry, I just didn't see you. Like, there's so many variables that goes into having a relationship with truth. Like, there's a saying, I forget what philosopher said it. But one of the philosophers, your wife. But I'll paraphrase it. Like, fuck your feelings. Because they will betray you. Our feelings will betray us.
Guy cuts me off. I feel like he's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
It's not true. Get a business deal. I feel like they lying to me. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
I'm doing some observations, and I feel what they're trying to do in business, stop the conversation. Customer comes to your office space, and they don't behave based upon a standard that you set. I feel like they disrespected my business. Not true. You watch TV, and somebody you care about, woman, same race, same gender, they show up, I feel. It's not true. Your feelings is not reasoning at all. Go ahead.
The one thing that I think can make this one more tricky is that we don't always know when we're feeling and not thinking.
Absolutely, but the problem is that what happens is that this is the opposite of first principle thinking.
Yes.
Because I would argue that why this is important is that you're going to probably break this rule more than normal, except when it matters. So I'm making business decisions all the time. I feel all kind of ways about people all the time. But I know to reserve the right to let myself have that feeling. And if the feeling gets strong enough, I'll call one of my trusted close friends and say, hey, I'm feeling this. And I'm really trying to talk myself out of my feelings because I know my feelings aren't true. I know deep down in my gut, no matter how I feel, that's all it is. Now, my feelings can launch an investigation, and that's fair. But I still allow the investigation and realize that even my investigation is biased. Because I'm trying to prove my position, right? So at this point, what my investigation automatically is, I'm gonna try to prove me wrong. And so this is what I usually do. So for example, in my office, this is to change my management style. Anybody that used to work with me in the past, if something went wrong, I'm like, what the fuck you do that for? That's really my feelings being masked. Now I say, hey, why'd you do it that way? Doesn't mean there's not this energy inside of me that's being held back behind the wall like, hey, calm down. Just let me handle this. I got this, right? If you in a relationship with people for a long period of time, your feelings be trying to talk to you all the fucking time. I feel like how come you just didn't know how I was gonna feel about that? You do some mind reading, you do some emotional reasoning, and before you know it, you in a bad relationship with somebody arguing. Everybody wants arguments. And, okay, I don't know. I'm just to be me. I've been in these kind of arguments where we're going on for hella long, and I realize all I'm doing is subduing your feelings because I don't know what the fuck we arguing about anymore. Like I know my intent doesn't have nothing to do with the fuck you saying to me, but I'm really just trying to subdue your feelings, right? As opposed to like, hey, I came home last night, right? Bought groceries last week, right? I was outside cutting the grass, right? What the fuck you mad at me for? I didn't do shit to you, right? But I feel that time when I said purple, you said pink, it made me feel. And then my face is almost, I don't want to dismiss you, so I'd be like, oh shit, act like you give a fuck.
What's the I give a fuck feeling? Show it to me. What is it?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you. Fuck, it didn't work this time. I don't give a. But it happens in business all the time. Like, yeah, I feel like that company over there, they're gonna steal our stuff. And they like, oh. So when Kendrick Lamar Allen came out and he used all these Bay Area references, I had people telling me I feel like he stole my style. What the fuck you mean you felt like you did stuff? Like if you told me, yo, I called Kendrick's camp and his employee said, yo, he definitely stole your style because he told me to come. Like, remember last week I was hanging out with you? I was doing insights to get to him to write the album that's gonna steal your style. When what you'll find is that you can never know that. So your feelings are wasting your fucking time. Move the fuck on, make a better album.
And if you are a person who feels like you're not emotional, right? So I think
I'm not claiming the removal of emotions. I'm saying knowing how to pull them apart.
Yeah, because here's the deal. Knowing this and even practicing this at the highest level, can someone still hurt your feelings? Yes, absolutely. So feelings still can be hurt. Feelings will still get felt. The rush of whatever that feeling is on all those particular emotions will go through you. This is saying you have a tool to say, doesn't mean any of these feelings are true though. So how do I act based on what's fact, not how do I act instead of acting on feeling?
Hey, Josh.
Another point is that if you don't know yourself really well, you might get lost in the fray with this because a lot of times you might not know how you actually feel. You have cover-up feelings and different reasons to feel other things, but the true underlying governing belief or the reason your relationship to something could actually be clouded to you. So even when you're looking at like magnification and reasoning, you might be like reasoning with the wrong thing within yourself if you're not clear.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where feelings and this separates. Do you 100% know it's true? Like if right now I say, put all you have in your bank account on this to this true right now, bet it, and you be like, nah, I haven't bet all that. It's a feeling then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck how well you made it sound. It's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what happens in business. You'll realize that you are incentivized to feel all kind of shit. You are spending your money's online. You working with strangers. You got customers walking in your building that are running game to get discounts. You got a reason to feel a whole bunch of shit. But when you feel something, you have to ask yourself, is this true? And what does that mean? Even if I feel this, what does this mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's say this. You say this white man just came in my business and he trying to run game on me. Was he not supposed to run game on you? Was he supposed to come in there and be like, hey, I'm gonna tell you everything I'm doing? I was trying to get a profit and shit. My shit's okay. I'm not sure it's that good yet. Are you that honest? No. So can we accept by default everybody's running game? So when I feel disrespected, wait a minute, how are you disrespected? If another man's trying to eat and he happens to step on your toes because his hunt game caused him to cross paths with you, why are you offended? You see how you start, once you start to remove, to make emotional reasoning, to deteriorate emotional reasoning, it's when you stop at your feelings. Mm-hmm. When you say, I feel, and then at that point you start building your case. You ain't never went back and said, do I know this is true? How can I validate it? What does it even mean if it is true? Right? Is it abnormal for this to be true? Will it compromise where I'm trying to go? Is this person really going out their way to compromise me? Right? Mm-hmm. That's a difference where you say, I feel this, and then you take off on, I call it the MSNBC effect. Right? MSNBC, we quick yeah, so they did this, which implies they really hate the people and they try to steal from the government. Whoa, son. Right. Whoa, we ain't never had a conversation with that man. Trump even does that some shit time. Like, yeah, they did this, but you like we said, he'll come in and say something like, they did this wrong. Oh, he did it by body. He's like, yeah, I gotta admit, they really fucked up. What do you mean? You don't know that. You don't know if they fucked up or not. You don't know if you can't tell me why they made the decisions and what were the choices and why they chose A as opposed to B, C, D, E, F, G, then your assumptions is just a feeling. It's not backed by any substance. So then here's a problem with that. Imagine acting on all your feelings.
Over. It's over.
You're not running a business. You're running your emotions. Remember I said in class, I remember this one class, I said, are you doing business or are you doing you? If you're doing you, you're running your business on emotional reasoning. If you're doing business, you done moved all your emotional, you learn to slowly but surely carve that away. That's the pain you're going through the first 2 or 3 years, is getting your reasoning out the way, and your reasoning is usually anchored in emotions. When even your point earlier was emotional reasoning baked in there. Mm-hmm. It's baked in. It's like, I felt this, I thought this, and da-da-da-da. Then she said, I wish Hope had this. She added a branch to what she felt over here. It wasn't, look, this is all the data I'm looking at. Here's all the resources I've been engaging. Here's what's all out there. I've engaged all these sources and tools. I'm stuck. Mm-hmm. It was, well, I kind of looked at this. I gave some emotional reason. I don't really own these conversations. I wish Hope had something. Hope had something? That was innocent. Nothing she said was bad. Go back to your life when you do emotional reasoning and then you add branches to your life that got shit to do with shit. You don't spend money on shit that has no return because you got stuck in emotional reasoning.
Hey, you know what's funny? I was talking to a close friend of mine, and we were talking about business, and he had cussed out a customer, and I'm like, we can't do that. And he's like, well, because he's a bitch, though. And I'm like, yeah, he probably is. But Do you know how many bitches there are out there? They got money too. And if I cut every customer off because they was a bitch or they was a mark or they was a punk or this, we wouldn't be in business. So I have to put my emotions to the side all the time to deal with customers who ain't a real one. Like you be broke just looking for the real ones. So emotional reasoning, if you go into business with emotional reasoning, then you're looking for just the real ones, the ones you jive with, the ones you cool with. No, you're going to have awkward, weird people who are rude and don't know it, people who are lazy and don't know it, all kind of personalities. And if the business transaction is a win-win, and if they add value to you and you add value to them, who cares what you feel? They're not hanging out with you afterwards at the house. So that's why you have to detach. And I was like, look, that person that you had to deal with, I had to do that about 30 times. I had to do it about 30 times. Shut up and just let it be, because that's what business is. And I don't think Steve Jobs ever was like, man, I wonder if any bitches are using my phone. I'm gonna turn their phone off. No.
Oh wow, that's not his book. Our bitches using my phone. Arthur, Nana. No, hey, listen. Let's flip it. Let's flip this, because I always like to look at the full circle. I like this guy. I'm going to do business with this guy. I'm going to buy this guy's product. I'm going to invest in his ideas. That's emotional reasoning. You just projected your emotions onto somebody and then start to spend money on it or invest time. Oh, I'm going to invite this person by my house. I really like them. You don't fucking know this person. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I don't know a person till I know your dark side. I don't know you till I know your dark side. Your dark side, because your dark side is going to explain a lot of shit that don't make sense. Oh, that's why you leaving at 3 o'clock? I got you.
Fern no mind.
You understand me? Anyway, so but the thing is that a lot of us do emotional reasoning in interacting with people. I'll show you another version of emotional reasoning. I say, hey, this person right here, they're moving very deceptive. Oh, Nana, it just might be you're tripping. They not might be deceptive. They just might be like different than you, and you're just tripping. Wait, where are you coming from? Do you know that person? Have you got any data? Did you ask me any questions of where I'm coming from? Right? Emotional reasoning. That's a good one. A lot of times we're labeling people or making judgments on people, and we don't have any data. We've asked no questions. We haven't asked nobody around them. We haven't went to their website. We haven't engaged the business. We don't know nothing. It's all emotional reasoning. Steve Jobs is an amazing person. How do you know? When you vote, do you understand how your voting is emotional reasoning? You don't know these people. I like him. He would just be a great mayor. I just really like him. He's great. How the fuck you know that? And in respect to those who take the time and research it, but that's just not the course of most people. So a lot of the stuff that we're struggling with in life, we've built a whole lifestyle, ecosystem, rhythm, and culture around emotional reasoning. We have friends in our life right now that are only there because of emotional reasoning. They're just waiting to betray our trust, not because they're flawed, it's because we put them in the wrong position. Okay, I'm gonna show you another level. You think this is minor? You start to hire people, and you realize you got fucked up employees because guess what? You engaged in emotional reasoning.
If all your employees look a certain way, because you attracted to them physically or emotionally.
Hold on, let's leave some things off the table.
You feel me? That means you caught up in that.
When I was young, I wanted to do that. That was just one of my 18-year-old fantasies. Anyway, go ahead.
It's real. It's real. You can tell biases in emotional reasoning when you walk in those spaces. Like it gets real because it's subconscious. Like, no, this was the better candidate. Yeah, was it the better candidate? Like lack of diversity in anything. is comes with emotional reasoning.
80% of the stock market's movements is emotional reasoning. The Nvidia stock dump was a emotional reasoning.
100%. 100%. Once you understand how the power of emotional reasoning, one of the greatest challenges of an entrepreneur is to get as close to reality as possible. But one of the reasons it's difficult, which is much more complex than this, and I'm going to get into the complexity as taught very similar to one of the professors from Harvard later on, starting next week actually. But one of the things that stops us also from engaging reality is we're often trapped in our emotional reasoning. And so, I remember being in the hood and be like, I don't deal with black women. I don't deal with black men. These are black men or black women talking about their own. I don't deal with niggas. That's what they would say. That's the term they would use. And I say, why? Everything from their mouth was just articulating emotional reasoning. Because that's impossible. There's no such thing as a perfect profile of group of people. There's no such thing. There's no such thing there's no label that has 100% consistency. There's no such thing, all black people do this, all white people do this, all lesbians do this, all gay men do this, all tall people do this, all short people do this. No. There's a tall person right now. I don't know.
Here we go.
I was going to get a joke and I was like, at least but I'm just saying, but it's not, right? Like, it's just not. So just emotional reasoning is most barbershop dialogue is really based upon emotional reasoning. Mm-hmm. Man, I feel like what they try to do, when black people try to tell you why somebody's rich and they ain't never built shit themselves, you do understand you're engaging in a conversation around emotional reasoning.
Mm-hmm. Try for 1 week, if you do this, to not start a sentence with "I feel." Try it. Just try it, and you'll see over time that even the colors and the complexity of your words will change when you lead, because there's "I feel," and "I think." There's a lot of starter phrases that people use before they say a statement or a question or command or whatever. But just try for a week. Don't start it with I feel, and see what happens. You'll see the colors of your words change, and you'll be more intentional, more factual about what you say. Just try
it. Got a couple things for y'all. One, you just made me remember one time when my son was upset at me, and he was like, "You're heartless. You have no feelings." And I didn't know if I was hurt or proud. Sorry, son. You guys mentioned something earlier that made me go back to the magnification and the minimalization. I just want to comment on that, and then also had a question. Might be an obvious one, but love to hear your take on it. You were talking about this thing that happened with this guy saying somebody jacked his style and all that stuff, and there was a new video that came out from Snoop lately, and in the beginning of this video, it was like some wild sideshow depiction, and I reposted it online and I reframed it. It was like, hey, Snoop and Dr. Dre paying tribute to the East Oakland sideshow. And it was a couple of Bay Area artists that are like hitting me up, like, man, they taking what we got, they taking our style, this and that and the other. And here's the magnification, right? Like, nobody took nothing from you. And it was like, before I even get into tearing them down, like, first of all, you ain't even from Oakland, and this is an Oakland thing, so if the whole Bay Area took it, then it's been jacked a long time ago. But the other part of it was the minimalization. You didn't think it was valuable until Snoop Dogg did it. Snoop Dogg did it, they repackaged it, sold it back to you, and now you're upset. You have all the opportunity to do the same damn thing. So I was just thinking about that as you were talking about this conversation about somebody saying somebody jacked their style. It's like, if it's out there, it's out there. Now your job is to compete. If I put my product out there and somebody else develops another product that's better than mine, I can either take that as competition or I need to move on. Like, I just got beat. This deep seek thing, right? Like, I'm interested to see what's next. They just raised the bar, said we can develop this thing for a minimum of the price without your processors. You think they're not going to respond? You know, with this version 3.0, Chat GPT 9, 10, whatever the heck they're on, you know what I'm saying? So the other thing, the question I had though was regarding the emotional reasoning and the constant barrage of emotionally targeted ads and TikToks and YouTubes and news cycles. This has to have an effect on our business reasoning if we're constantly engaged in this stuff. Am I correct?
Yeah. What Shabisha was trying to highlight is that most of our decisions are emotional. But you got to realize you can victimize yourself by that same process. So you have to practice the art of separations. You can be started with, it starts off with hindsight. Like you start saying, so for example, when I go to a store and I'm buying my products, I know I'm being emotional, 100%. I know I'm like the yellow one, the brown one, the orange one, the green one, the yellow one, the orange one. Shit, I'm ready. I'm done shopping. Pay this bill. But I also know every once in a while, break up or know why you're doing it. Know that you're just being comfortable and lazy. You know that you just don't want to invest any time in experimenting, testing, trying other stuff. And it doesn't really matter to me. Now, once it becomes a business, game different now. Now not only am I aware of my emotional spaces, I may go from being aware of my emotional spaces to becoming aware of the consumer emotional spaces to controlling the emotional outcome, right? The difference is knowing when to zero in and pull that separation and when to kind of leave it alone, right? So, for example, if I'm getting angry and upset behind my feelings, that's the time it needs to be addressed. That's a gap there. My feelings is not the information. If I say, man, I feel LeBron ain't trying to win no games, that don't really matter. It ain't gonna change LeBron. You still buying it. You still watching the game, fussing, whatever. If I'm around my family, man, I feel like LeBron ain't serious like the rest of us. Or even dudes like, I feel like Snoop Dogg's trying to steal stuff. I don't mean, like, that's almost like noise. That's like dust that sits beneath your grass. Who gives a fuck, right? But when it's time to make decisions, or you're having emotional feelings about something, or when you're engaging people, or when you're building relationships, do not validate your feelings as the end result. Acknowledge it. Go like, I feel some kind of way about Yapasua. Now, when I say that, now I'm going to say, why do you feel that way, bro? What about you that says something about him? Mm-hmm. What are you translating? What are you projecting on to him that ain't got shit to do with him? Mm-hmm. Because, like when we talked about that earlier, when the guy said, "Oh, did he call me over his house and said, I think the story, come into my bathroom and mix your music," right? The typical dude be like, bro, who the fuck you think you talking to? I ain't going to your fucking bathroom. What the fuck I look like? I ain't that desperate, right? But it's one of those things where, like, you got to separate that space from, you get this emotional space. You got to know how to say, yo, I'm feeling some kind of way. I'm feeling some kind of emotion. And you got to know that, okay, there's a difference between what makes sense here. And that, trust me, is so, I feel things all the time that betray my thoughts. However, once I sit down and I process it, that's when I'm doing that separation of my reasoning and my thoughts. And a lot of times the way I feel about you may be based upon something I'm feeling, not what you are doing. Mm-hmm. And what I was going with the earlier point is that if I don't like something you're doing, I have the power just to walk away. But if I'm sitting around still building anger towards you, I'm asking, why am I letting myself be in the direction of your darts if you're really moving like that? Mm. Or is it really me imagining you're shooting darts when you never shot a dart? One of the best ways to do it is just, why don't I just call to Yapasu and say, yo, man, last week, I'm trying to figure out, why'd you say it that way? Because I kind of felt some kind of way, right? Why did I have that conversation? Because I'm trying to separate my feelings. And I'm not going to say it in a hostile way. I'm trying to say, I'm feeling some kind of way. I'm taking ownership of my feelings. Watch this. You made me feel. No, I didn't. Mm. You felt something. And you use me to reason it. No.
Mm. Yeah. Here's one too. Feeling disrespected. I feel disrespected. man, you know how many ways a person can feel disrespected based on your culture, how you were your upbringing, how you were raised. That word, disrespect, the feeling of disrespect. You know how many folks resorted to violence because of that, and a lot of times was just misunderstanding in culture. There's been times where there was feelings of disrespect, but then the two parties talked, and it was just a misunderstanding. So, feelings, the reasoning emotionally is one of the most dangerous things for our finances, for our business, in relationships, for friendships, just in general. And one of the biggest journeys that we're going to be on, especially this year in this class, is working on this. This is what we're going to be working on the first half, or for this year on the first half of the class, is how do I get my emotional reasoning in check and separate it enough to be a good business person. And hopefully that trickles off into the rest of your life, to be a good business person. I talk about this all the time, every year, is between stimulus and response, there's a space. In emotional reasoning, you get no space. This is how I feel, it must be true. The goal is to continue to, over time, widen the gap of that space between stimulus and response, so you have time in between to find truth, to find alternatives, to look at to come up with different variables in business and in life.
Okay. I'm going to conclude with this and go to the next slide. But he said something that is probably the most powerful one. When you guys become investors, if you don't create the separation, you're going to lose all your money. Investing feels this way, and you still got to make this decision over here. Okay, long-term investment is this, and it averages out. So guess what? You turn on CNBC one day, stock market's crashing. If you're an investor, you might say, buy. So I'm buying at a good price. It's going to come back. But at that day, it don't feel like that at all. And there's not a person or soul. People are crying. People committing suicide around you. And a real investor says, this is a good time. Mm-hmm. Reverse. Yo, you got to invest. This shit's popping right now.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
And you feel like, man, I feel like just sitting around there, you just caught up with the inertia of everybody getting excited. You throw your money in there, and you don't realize the hype cycle ends when your money lands. You like, motherfucker. And you want to blame everybody around you. Your feelings, your emotional reasoning fucked you. I promise you, the more you get into the scaling, what you feel and how you make decisions are two different things. If you are a prisoner of your feelings, your ability to scale a business is already over. It's over. Just fuck it. Don't give it, fuck it. Until you get this part fixed, fuck it. I can literally tell you, fuck it. Because the more you scale, the more you can't see, and your brain will start creating fucking stories in your head. You got to know the difference between feeling. By default, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they say, I took a loss. And I said, yeah, that's the percentage you're supposed to take. That's not a feeling. That's just a number. That loss is baked into the process. You should feel you should be on your vacation, reading a magazine, I just lost 10% of my business. What do you mean? How much was it? It was like $2 million. Nana, why aren't you worried? Because based on percentage, I'm on track. I'm winning. That's estimated in the business. It's if I get to 25, I'm going to put this newspaper down. You get where I'm going with this? But to somebody on the outside who's emotional reasoning, they hear, what's name just lost $2 million. Oh man, he got me fucked up. So let's say you engage the problem. Staff, everybody come in the room, bring your asses in. Y'all got me fucked up. You walk around the table with a bat. who lost my $2 million? Right? Nino Brown, that motherfucker, right? All of a sudden, next year, your team's not innovative anymore. Everybody's just robots doing their job because you're fussing about unnecessary loss. That's the cost of innovation. Innovation has a cost.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
So innovation has a cost. If your business is going to be innovation cost. But if you're punishing the losses, you can't be an innovative company. Research and development it's not like they do research and output a productive product every time. They do research and have multiple failures to only have a few successes, but those few successes take you where you want to go. What if you're running, it's like flipping a coin. If you get 7 5s in a row, does it mean that every time you flip a coin you get 7 heads in a row or 7 tails in a row? Does it mean that every time you flip a coin you're gonna get the same result? No, right? It's gonna balance out over time. So what if you get 7 failures in a row? Do you lead with, you guys are fucking up. Y'all losing me money. I can't do this shit. Then you wonder why you just suppressed your own growth in your own company. You get where this emotional reason start getting real. It gets real, especially in leadership, because what you think you see. Okay, you ever see somebody go, I'm about to run the city of Oakland, and here's my new policy, and this is what I believe, and this is what I think the city should be going through, and this is what I feel. I feel the city should be. What you don't realize is that the city ain't you. The city ain't even. It may not even be your dominant group. You gotta have so many different forces and powers and interests and incentives in the city. There's an incentive web and interest web that's so damn complex that your feeling is making you a bad leader. Where winning leadership is figuring out what are the trade-offs that you need to engage to move the city forward. Or what are the trade-offs you need to engage to move your business forward? What are the trade-offs that you need to engage to move a family forward? That's how complex that shit is. All right, let's go next slide.
I was hoping that you'd talk about this while I was gone, but
Shamisha, this is one of my favorite ones of all times. This is the Democratic Party to the T. This is social justice to its max. Let's go.
Should statements. These are statements about what you should, ought to, or must do, creating unrealistic expectations for yourself or others. So an example, when others fail to meet your expectations, it can lead to anger and resentment. When you fail to meet your own expectations, it can lead to guilt.
Man, I should have did it this way. It should have been like this. This is the simplest way to show you how crazy the statement of should is. Based upon what? Because what should is assuming. What it has to be is the assumption that is operating underneath the should statement is you control the future. Just think about that. Well, it should have happened. Like what you should do as a person, you are assuming. Okay, you do understand that business plan is nothing but a guess, right? That's all a business plan is, a guess. If you ain't never did it before, all you do is writing a guess. It's an articulate guess, but it's just a guess. So you say, well, it should have worked out like this. Oh, I'm sorry. How many times have you been here? How many times have you worked in the past? Has all the variables stayed the same? Are the same people there? Have people not aged and changed their desires, values, and beliefs? Has none of the crises in this world happened? Has the weather stayed exactly the same? Are you wearing the same outfit and everybody else is as well? Meaning that all these possible subtleties are impacting change that could change the outcome of your actions. So when you say should, even if you did, let's say, okay, let's pull it back to you as a person. I should have done it this way. What you're combing over and ignoring is the causations of your action, and that's where the power's at. So, for example, if Kaja would have said in the middle of the conversation, let's just make this her response different. I'm gonna just falsify what she said. Let's say she said, "Damn it, I should have did my research," and she just left here. She doesn't leave here with a solution. She leaves here with mental pain and mental shame. If she said to herself, why didn't I do that? That's interesting. I just learned something new. Her life just moved forward. So should often comes over the problem that we're having in our personal life as well as the problem you're having with your business. It should have worked. What do you mean it should have worked? It didn't. There's something you didn't do. Maybe you underinvested. Mm-hmm. You know, like you buy a device, you're like, this shit should work. Oh, I'm sorry, you been working with that device in the past? A lot? No. It's the first time you bought it? No. Yes. Oh, or let's say you bought the device before, but you know by reading the company data that they have 100% perfection rate when they release that equipment? No, I don't know that. So you just made an assumption. You try to control the future you have no ownership over. Should is a false sense of ownership you don't possess. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. None of us possess that. You know, you should call people by this, or you should racially do this. Why would white people do that? What's the incentive? Why? They should do this. Why? Do you know what they're dealing with at their home? If you're not aware of what your opposition is dealing with, to use should is an assumption that only validates your belief, but not the reality you exist in.
First time I heard this, it rattled my brain. I didn't compute. It was a glitch in my brain because it's a word that I use to motivate me. It's a word that I use to get me up in the morning. Oh, I should get up. It's about that time I should get up. I should go to the gym. I shouldn't do that. Like, it's a word in the English dictionary that has been used our whole life normally. So to ever hear, you shouldn't say should, or that's a cognitive distortion. It was a weird thing to me. So I fought that. I fought it. No, hell no. Now you're doing too much. Like, don't say should. Like, that's weird.
He did.
Because it didn't compute. But once I studied and understood it and understood the cognitive distortion behind it, because it doesn't have a basis. It doesn't have a foundation. To say should is a loose, you're creating a loose statement or command based on nothing. It has no backing. So why shouldn't I then? Well, why should I do that? Why should I do it that way? See, should is saying I have all the answers and this is the one, and no one has all the answers, and it's related to a perfection mindset. That's the other part about this.
Yeah, bro.
So should is connected to a perfection mindset, and if you have a perfection mindset, the byproduct of that is shame and guilt and feeling like you're not good enough. Oh shit, this is a standard. I fell below the standard. I'm not good enough. I should do this to get to the standard. There's things we can do. What can I learn from this? This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. There's other words that we can use instead of should. Wanting to do something sets a different signal to your brain to say I want to do it or I need to do it. But I should do it. It indicates it already has you. When you say I should, you're already almost on your heels when you say I should. It's almost like you're behind the 8 ball when you say the word should. They should means they're already at fault. They're guilty of something. Versus, this is what I want to do. This is what I choose to do. This is what I need to do.
Should could be a question. What do you think I should have done? Right? We're just gauging in. We try and engage in a form of insight, and we're just running. We're looking at a problem. I say, I say, hey, this is a problem I had last week. It went this way. How do you think you would have had it? Like, what do you think I should have done? Right? That's a question. All right, let's say we played around like, well, you think I should have did this way? It's still a question. It converts to, but when you convert it to a statement, I should have did this way. Whoa, why the fuck you should? You did what you did. Okay, let's say you made a mistake and you should have did it differently. Let's just say you should have. Let's question. We should have, right? You can't fix it. It's over. It's done. But sometimes the should makes it still relevant. It's gone. I should have never cheated on her. But you did. You did. Let's just keep it 100. You did. And two, and in order for you not to repeat it again, you have to have an honest relationship with why you did it. But when you say should, you bury it, you shame it, you smother it to only repeat it. Oh, I had a pot of mice. I'll never forget this cat. Oh my God, he was the greatest. So we were like, and I was 18, 19, 20. We hung over 18 to, somewhere between 18 and 20 we hung out. I think our friendship ended at 20. It was too much. This dude cheated. Every time he cheated, he would give this long soliloquy to me about how he felt so bad. It was never the same woman. He cheated so many times, and he would give these same long ass speeches like, oh man, I don't know why. I was thinking, I told her again. I feel so bad. She caught me again. And he would run these long ass stories. And this time gonna be my last time. I promise you, I'm never gonna do it again. He never asked himself, but why are you cheating? Maybe you're just not into her. Maybe you're just not ready for this kind of lifestyle. Maybe whatever the fuck it is. And then when you say why you're not in that lifestyle, you might dig deeper and like, because I never seen it modeled for me. I don't see the benefit of it. My rationalization at this point in my life is not what I'm doing. I'm only 19. What the fuck? But instead, he cheated on this woman so many times under the leadership of the word should. I shouldn't have done it. I know I should have done it. I felt so guilty. I bought her flowers. I cried. I apologized. You still ain't told me why you did it.
Should is also slightly, it's like Coke, and then it's like Diet Coke.
Talk your shit. Oh, that's okay. Okay, I'm sorry, bro. I'm
No.
sorry.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I was projecting. My bad.
The drink.
Oh, my bad. Wrong conversation.
It's like Diet Coke. It's slightly defensive. You don't know it. You can barely kind of feel the defensive tone of it, but it's slightly defensive.
Yeah.
So you're already on your back heels with it. Versus like the term like, I should go. Something's wrong. Like something's wrong. A feeling when you say I should go. Or I shouldn't do this. Like offensive terminology puts you in a completely different space. I want to. So it took me a while. I thought about this for so long because it took me a while to because there's nuance, it's tweaks to your language and to your psychology, which affects. It's like a butterfly effect, and if you remove it from your vocabulary, from a perspective of understanding why shouldn't be there, then it helps you to navigate communication to yourself and others better.
So watch this. I'm gonna show you a business argument for the word should and how it's trash. The customer should buy this product. I don't know why they didn't show up today.
No, they shouldn't.
They should like what I'm designing. They should love this design. I mean, I put a lot into it. They should treat me like they should value what I'm doing because I'm the only one doing this in the community. They should. Mm-hmm. You see how should is a projection onto the customer, and it's really you projecting your feelings of what you think people should doing, not recognizing what they really do. Now your brain doesn't even turn on the trigger. Hey, I need to listen to what people do and why they do it. I need to learn insights. I need to learn marketing. But you go, well, I worked on it all night long and I spent hella time behind it. I don't understand why people don't want to buy my stuff. They should want to buy my because I put all this time into it.
That's a good one.
They should want to pay this price because they pay for other people's stuff. You see how this misalignment start to happen in business strategy? Because when you start injecting the word should, you don't realize how you're hijacking knowing how to do it with what you feel.
And nobody got to do shit. Nobody got to do shit. They don't owe us nothing. Usually the should comes right after they, right?
Mm-hmm.
they should do this for us. They should do this. No. Nobody owes us anything like that. Once that clicks in psychologically, then you take more ownership. Now, if you turn should on yourself, that's bad too. So you turn it outward to say what they should do, that's bad. But then if you turn it on yourself, it's also bad. And that was my argument with you guys at the beginning too. Like, well, that's for me. Like, that motivates me. But if you fail continuously, then the byproduct of that is guilt. It's not good. It makes you feel more like a failure.
Well, you also lose strategy, right? Strategy comes from removing should. At the heart of strategy, you start to learn how things work, why they work. There are certain animal. Okay, remember when the other day, last class talked about people taking shits, right? And everybody go, but here's the funny part: ain't nobody in this room that don't take shit. But because we're human beings, we like to color things a certain kind of way to make ourselves comfortable. Okay, listen to my point. We try to make ourselves comfortable. So we're making ourselves comfortable. We lose track of, like, even though we engage it, we almost could disconnect from it. So the way you develop strategies, you start saying, well, if this person does that, okay, this is how you lose strategy. White people shouldn't do that. Where's your strategy at? There's none. You say white people should just do it this way. They shouldn't do it. Wait a minute. Now you are even feel victimized by normal behavior of another person because you're assuming your should mean something. When you turn off that fucking should, you start seeing people for like, why did they do this? See, it goes from should to why. Why did you do that? Hey, let me ask you a question. So I saw the other day, you picked Make America Great Again. Why? I don't know shit. Don't make it personal. Just why? Well, because I feel like this. Oh, damn, I didn't see it that way. But should doesn't allow you to put yourself in other people's shoes. You're too busy trying to get people to adjust to what you think the world should work. So even when you say, I should do this, do you know why you even did what you did and why you don't want to do what you want to do? So when it comes time to hack your own behavior, should doesn't give you an insight on how to hack yourself. What it does is you're just using guilt all day long. I'm gonna get myself up. I'm gonna get myself to sleep. But the problem is, well, maybe you need to be drinking different kind of food. Maybe human beings at your age need to be engaged in this kind of minerals. Or maybe when you do this in the middle of the day, you're burning so much energy doing this that you don't realize it's compromising that. But when you say should, all that data is off the table. It's just guilt. I just should be doing that. I shouldn't be doing this. Like literally, anybody who's trying to lose weight will tell you that shit is like a science. It's a delicate science. You don't get to use your feelings to come up with a diet. You don't get to use your feelings for a workout. None of your feelings have. You can feel I worked out hard today. I can't tell you how many people I've seen on this. She on a cell phone doing the treadmill. I'm like, what's going on, girl? You ain't losing no weight. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I be working my ass off. I should be losing weight. I don't know what's happening. Or I spend hundreds of hours a week working on my business. I should be making money right now. You see what you're skipping over? Strategy. Strategy. And strategy gets into curiosity, but you don't have curiosity because you feel curiosity with guilt. So what I'm arguing with you guys is that should for yourself blinds you from the conversation you need to be having, which is, hey, I'm this animal. It might be this simple. Like, for example, this ring tells me, I told this about the other day. He said, well, what is your sleep time? I said between 12 and 2. I said, but you know what I've noticed and I've discovered through this ring is that if I go to sleep at 12, my sleep score goes way the fuck up. If I go to sleep at 2 o'clock, my sleep score can go all the way down to 60 something, which is really bad, right? Now, if I didn't have this ring, I'm having a should dialogue. Well, when I go to sleep, I feel better and I feel, so I should, and I feel good, and I should be cool. You see where I'm going with this? But once I brought this ring because I realized that I was filling my brain with what should happen. I like to go to sleep, so I should be cool, as opposed to what's really going on. You see what's happening? So should is a blinder to strategy, because strategy often means that, oh shit, that means that the difference in my life is 2 hours. It's going to be 2 hours earlier or later, and it's just going to change my life drastically. Yeah, it will. It's that simple. The shoes you wear. When I first started going running, my feet was killing me. My knees was killing me. My hips was feeling kind of weird. And I'm thinking, I got some tennis shoes. It should work. You see what happened? See, it should work. I'm out here running. It should work. What was I not doing? Learning about running. And so I decided, oh, you know what? You don't really own this conversation. Sat down. Oh, these kind of shoes? So I had to buy 3 different companies of shoes and try those different shoes based on my foot. Then kind of find out, oh, there's a place you can go to. Going to cost you a little bit more money the first time you buy them. But they will actually measure you with all this technology and find out what your body shape is like so you can figure out what you need to maximize your ability to run long term. But if you play the should game, you might even take off running really well the first couple of months to only find yourself having a knee injury next year and you can't run at all because you was using should methodologies as opposed to strategical methodologies. You don't have ownership. You're full of assumptions. What follows should? Assumptions. I fucking hate assumptions in business.
Here's another one. Sorry. You know what is another thing at the root of should? An ego.
Oh my God.
So your ego is out of control. You have a lot of shoulds. You should have known it. You should be doing it then. You should have been, we should be that's ego. Because humility says, I don't know. Let me check. Let me do the numbers. Let me find out. Let me get to the root. So a lot of time our shoulds come from our ego problems too. So because once we reduce or remove reduce our ego, then we become more curious and open. We become more of a researcher in finding out the information versus just automatically assuming what should happen based on how we feel.
Like when you say defense is an agent of shit culture, what he's trying to highlight to you also is if you a person engaged in anger, you're a person engaged in being right, you're a person that is argumentative, you don't realize you move in a should space. Because once you realize that should is a kind of distortion, it just makes you curious now. You'll sit there and be like, huh, what do you mean by that? Huh. A lady I got out of my car. There's a sister getting out of her car. And she said, hi. I said, hi, sis. She said, hi. She's like 6, 7-year-old woman. I said, hey. She said, you going to class too? I said, no, I'm one of the teachers up here. She goes, oh, where you teach? And then we got told about teaching. And she says, yeah, at the hospital, it's like we're struggling with some of our branding issues. And I think a lot of it has to do with black people. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? Now, you can say, Donna, you don't even need that information from her. I'm so curious. I wanted to hear how she interpreted, not because I need to say that she's right or wrong, or she's giving me valuable information. I want to see how people see certain things and how they're interpreting, because that is data for me to understand the world I exist in. As opposed to be like, people just should do this. And then to say, well, actually, I talked to this lady in the hospital system, and she said, well, the reason they can't do that is because da, 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 da. So a lot of times when we say should, we're ignoring how systems work, the complexities and the webs of decision making. None of that's part of the conversation because should tries to simplify every fucking thing to make us comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I fucking hate should. This is out of all the kind of distortions, this one's probably my top number one most hated kind of distortion that I spent the most time building the way I approach life to remove shoulds from my conversation, because should had me in a place where it made me feel like I was knowledgeable and insightful and I understood how the world. The people who graduate from college, engineers are known for this shit. They think they understand the way the world works to an absolute. And they should have done this, because as an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, as an engineer, I can tell you from what I know, my background and my limited ass, peaky ass experience, the world should have did this. Mm-hmm. Or, I've ran a company before. And so because I ran a company before, that CEO should have, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Why are you talking? Mm-hmm. You don't know. Now, when they hire Fighter Media, they say, hey, Nana, we have a problem with black folks in San Francisco are struggling with a problem, and we want to help them. So we want to hire you to solve this problem for the government or for the feds or for a big institution or a big nonprofit. Can we hire you? Can you write up an estimate? You know what my estimate has? It already has a should solution baked to the estimate. It's called, yeah, they're black. They look like me. We even sound alike. I need to go do some insights. I don't know shit. Because if I go in there and start implementing policy amongst them, I'm using should as my strategy. This is what a lot of nonprofits do with people. They go, people should do this once we do that. And then they get in people to invest in them, and motherfuckers with money give them money to create a should statement solution for the community that they underserve. We got more nonprofits in the Bay Area than any motherfucker. It's I don't know what the density, but it's a high ass density of nonprofits. You would never know that if you went to Castlemont. You're thinking that we abandoned. He said, should know that. So the reality is that, but that's what happened. Most nonprofits move on a should basis. Mm-hmm. If I do this, this should change the world. Mm-hmm. What test? Have you done any testing? Mm-hmm. Very few nonprofits invest in testing.
Mm-hmm. You know, here's one thing. What's good for should? What should's good for? Secret. If you want to move up in the corporate world, use should all the time.
Yeah, it's sad, but yes.
If you're a should person, then you create polarization and shock value and people to back up off you, because now you're known, because it's such it's an unknown variable. So using should makes you seem like the expert.
Influencers.
And now they're like, ooh, I don't want to be on his or her bad side, so let's move her up, or let's ask for her opinion. Because you're like, well, you should do that. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. You should do that. It's a great way to move up in the corporate world. And if you observe corporate behavior, the people who express the most shoulds and have the most polarized behavior, they're usually the ones who can find their ways at the top or where they want to be.
Well said. Next slide. Sorry, y'all. This is gonna sound like I didn't make this up. Go ahead, Shabisha.
Labeling and mislabeling.
Mm-hmm.
These distortions involve assigning negative labels to yourself or others based on single experiences.
Oh my God! Don't you feel like social justice people just turn off the TV? Go ahead, turn your TV off.
The example.
Sorry, go ahead.
Example is a student labeling themselves as an utter fool for failing an assignment.
So, labels. First of all, let me help you guys with something about labels. All human beings, we have hella labels. I'm speaking. This is for those of you in Chicago and New York, and those of you in Florida, Texas. Hella means a lot. Right? That's Oakland way of saying a lot. Human beings, we have hella labels, and most of the time labels are used for hierarchy purposes, right? So I often won't call out my label unless I'm trying to establish my hierarchy amongst other human beings. So I might say, oh, yo, I'm a father. Why did I tell you I'm a father? I'm trying to establish I hold a certain position. I say I'm a man. I'm trying to establish a certain position. But I'm not one label. I'm multiple labels. You got to be careful with labels, because labels can turn into, we can weaponize labels against others and ourselves. Mm-hmm. See, white people, you've already gave them a label. You know what white people, when black people say white people, just when we say white people, it's our label. White people. which in a sense, black people like, yeah, white people. Stop. Okay. You're not going to do business in America with one race. I'm sorry, people. It's over. You're not going to do it. I fantasized about the same shit at one time. One of these days, we're all going to sing Kumbaya, or we shall overcome and make billions. No. So you're going to find that you have allies in every race. Mm-hmm. You know how people don't fuck with you? Just don't fuck with them. Don't trip. Just keep it moving. You're going to find there's a lot of allies in this game. There's allies moving money left and right all the time. If you turn down the label talk, stop trying to judge people through the labels. If somebody comes in and they got a label on their shirt, still ask them, who in the fuck are you? Because the labels still give you nothing about a person. It gives you nothing. Yeah. It gives you absolutely nothing. And then labeling yourself sometimes is it's a prison. It's a box.
Absolutely.
oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Guess what starts to happen? You start to color everything with that label, and the label doesn't fit. For the man with a hammer, everything's a nail. Labeling becomes that man who says, oh, I'm a carpenter. So everything you look at is from a carpenter perspective. Mm-hmm. Be careful with the label game. Don't get me, okay, am I black? No question. Am I African? No question. But after I say black and African, my labels are relative to my hierarchy at the moment, but it's not my limitation at the moment. So, for example, this, like, my family played too much Beyonce. It's just, I told my wife, I said, babe, I'm starting to feel like I'm gay with those Beyonce y'all playing out. It's too much Beyonce for a brother. Like, brothers don't play Beyonce like that. And I love Beyonce. I got respect for her because at the peak of her career, she stood for her people. Love her. Dope as fuck. She's one of the dopest sisters in the game. She deserves all the accolades and more. This is not my music, though. I ain't putting a ring on. I ain't gonna do this in front of no fucking camera, right? But there's a song. but I'm done. Yo, what yo,
he
bro?
doing it. He doing
I'm just saying, like, I imagine I come to your house, brothers sitting around, we playing dominoes. I'll be like, yo, what's up, man? See what happened? She put a ring on it.
Where's your Ayo at?
Hey yo. I'm saying, like, there's certain things that I don't have no problem saying. I don't get down like that, right? Let me show you the other side, because some of y'all are too gender sensitive. I got cousins who are hood dudes. I don't fuck with all that shit either, right? I got partners of mine who are super square. I can't fuck with all this shit either. I'm not super square. I got people in my life who are like, they make Christians uncomfortable. I don't fuck with them. Like, they say, oh, you use the word damn. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
You don't get your broke ass out this room, right? I got a variety of people that I love. My family has every label, value, system. I have an ecosystem of labels in my family. And I love them all. And I don't identify with them all. But I love them all. And I don't see that that's the limitation of who they are to me, nor as a limitation of who I am to them. I don't limit myself by labels. If I got a part of my mind right now, I mean, a godson of mine, actually one of my godsons. He's a hood dude who's raised by a super pro black family, who's a swimmer, who likes rock and roll, who's militant. Fuck it up. Fuck it up. That label, what do you want to do with that? Why is this important? If you're trying to do marketing, you have to know that you are dealing with a cross section of labels. If you're in business and you label people, you can't see the marketing opportunities. When you market at people, you may have a group of people who like rock and roll who happen to be black. And if you know who that crowd is, you'll know how to talk to them and say, hey, I'm one of you, because I like that label too. But when you try to single label people, you will misidentify people because people are so fucking complex. I was at the gym today, white dude, he was this super nerd. He was so nerdy that he looked like he should be on Saturday Night Live because he was so nerdy, right? Like, he almost like he was gimmicky. And he had on headphones. But he was a white boy that was hella nerdy. I was cracking up. I was on the floor cracking up. I said, if that is not a cross section of labels that don't make no sense. Because if you saw him, for him to be rapping, it looked like he would run from anybody who said boo. And he looked like he would be in corporate America. And like even alpha white males be like, damn, that dude's soft. Oh my God, he's such a beta. But when he was rapping, he was trying to look hard, but he was such a nerd that it was funny. And it was like Urkel trying to be like, I don't give a shit, I don't care, right? He like, no, don't do that no more. Just don't do that. So, but it was just so great because to me, like, that's what human beings are. We're more than a simple label. That's why I hated social justice, because we started focusing on single narrow labels. I know transgenders that are like dope as fucking. I know transgenders I can't fucking stand. I know gay dudes that I can sit down right now and plot the future of America with. And I know some gay dudes, if they open their fucking mouth, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Nobody's simple like that.
Yeah.
This simplicity is false identifying, false liking people, false embracing, false investing. How many black people have y'all seen get money during the George Floyd who got falsely labeled? Y'all know how that person was trash before. Y'all know they couldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. And all of a sudden they got millions because white people be like, you know what? He just seems like he cares about his people. How many times y'all seen rappers who didn't give a fuck about black culture all of a sudden get identified as a black cultural symbol? I'll leave that shit alone before I get started.
Hey, so check this out.
I'll get started. Got me fucked up. Labels.
Here's some labels. Just holler if you hear some. You're too young. You too old.
I'm too cute.
You too black.
I'm too cute. I deal with that shit all the time. I don't know about him. That shit's rough on me. Go ahead, bro. I'm struggling.
You too educated. You too stupid. Like the thing about what makes labels dangerous is that once you accept the label, you also accept what comes with it, what comes after it, all what comes inside of it.
Pause. You saw it. You knew it was coming.
Hey, yo.
You knew it was coming as soon as you said it. You paused yourself.
What goes around comes around. You know what I'm saying? Say hey yo.
I know. Hey, yo.
Yeah.
The very next thing. All right, that's fine. I don't even. I'm starting to get an ear for this shit. It
happened. Yeah. You hear that shit real fast.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Oh, man. So, anyways, labeling, like allowing people to label you, dangerous. Because once you go like this or you agree, then almost your body conforms to whatever that label is.
Your brain creates limitations.
Your brain will limit you based on the labels.
Come on.
I remember when I got close to 50, my brain is like, bro, damn, you old. You getting old. I literally start feeling weaker and crackly and and I'm like, damn, I guess this is what happens when we get old. But the minute I'm like, man, fuck that shit. Like, I'm young still. It almost like the body responds to it. So you got to be very, very careful with allowing people to label you. When I was younger, I got labeled retarded. So I got put in the retarded people's class. So I started believing it. So I started acting up even more, wilding out. I could cuss the teacher out. I literally would cuss the fucking teachers out in high school, and I would get a pass for it because I was labeled that.
Timmy.
like I accepted the label.
Oh, go to hell. Oh my God. They got me a whole apartment. Oh God! I'm sorry.
No, real talk.
Because you say you was acting up, I was like, what was he doing?
Man, I get up, walk out, storm out, say fuck you to the teacher. Like I had a whole skit, but when I got home, I didn't do that shit around my mom. But I was labeled there at school, and it wasn't until one teacher called me out, like, I noticed that ain't you. Miss Conway. Miss Conway, bell rung. She said, Court, you stay. She said, hey, all that shit you doing, don't do that shit with me. I don't play that shit. She said shit too. Closed the door. She was an old black woman. I said, yes, Miss Conway. And miraculously, I was healed her period every day. But that's labeling. So allowing people to label you is dangerous, but mislabeling others, you lose out on life. You lose out on life. You walk past him on any given day, mislabeling, you lose out on a lot. You like even people you see. Man, this one is a big one, especially if you're in business. This is a big one. I remember sitting down one day. I'm on a date with a woman, and she took me backstage. She took me to a concert, but she was related to the artist that was performing. So we're backstage at the San Jose Arena. He's a big artist. So I'm backstage. I'm just tripping. I'm playing video games on the couch because he had a video game system in his in his dressing room. But lots of people are walking through, talking, wanting to see him, talk to him, and I ain't tripping. I'm playing whatever, NBA 2, whatever. So it's two white dudes standing right next to me, super close. So I do a scan up and down, and I see Kirkland, Costco outfit. Back to playing video games. So the artist comes over, and he's like, man, I'm glad you guys got to talk. Finally, the CEO of Facebook and the CEO of Twitter. And Kirkland #1 dropped his bottled water on me, dropped the cap on me, and he's like, man, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, don't trip here, I gave it. That's Mark Zuckerberg. So the date I was with was like, man, what you do? Like, network with him. Dude, talk to him. I'm like, I don't got nothing to talk to. Plus, I was lightweight rude to them because I didn't know who they were. I'm mislabeled. Like, you never know who someone is. You never know. So this one, you peel off your curiosity, peel it all the way off to allow yourself to talk to people and look at people for who they are. Going on the trips with them helped me peel that off as well. Like, communicate with people who you don't know. And I've sat with people and started that communication process and met some amazing people that down to this day helped me in my business. I met a director, a CFO of Nike one time. I sat next to the CFO of Nike. All right, hi, how are you? Fine, how are you? What is your name? Like, what do you do? Oh, I'm retired now. What'd you retire from? Oh, I was a CFO of Nike. What do you do? I have an athletic brand. What? Here, let's exchange them. We should talk. Boom. So many resources, so much game from this person up until this day. So labeling and mislabeling. Prior to that, I see that person and not even think to speak to them. Now it's almost automatic because I look at every human being as a potential link in my chain of good.
Yes. Okay, real quick before we close this one out. Women are not good at math. I've never been a good writer. I didn't do good at school. I didn't graduate from college. This is what people say to themselves. And once you say that, that becomes your limitation moving forward. Matter of fact, you won't even approach it and try to improve on it. You build all these workarounds that cost you time, money, and attention, as opposed to like, well, I didn't write good in school doesn't mean I can't learn how to write now. Like when I was a horrible writer in school. So when I came out of school, I was like, I'm taking me a junior college. I'm taking me a business writing class. One of my favorite writing classes of all time. But I did that because I refused to accept my limitations. Accept my labeling. Once you accept your labeling, you'll see that percentage will adjust to the label. So it's important. Black folks ain't never been good at this. Black folks don't run these kind of businesses. Black folks are not into that. All those kind of labels becomes a form of limitations. It even if you say, like for example, we don't have a lot of black billionaires that we can hang out with. But many of us have even created even a lower ceiling of what's possible based upon the way we label black people in economics. Oh, we only go so far. We usually run these kind of businesses. Once you guys realize how label has become a form of limiting beliefs for you, you gotta realize you gotta be careful when you play with labels. Whether it's playing with whether you address labels around yourself or labels around others, you gotta be very, very careful because they do become a form of limiting beliefs. Next slide.
And I blamed the other person for the fact that I was labeling them instead of taking responsibility for me. Like I was getting friction back from it. And it was like, they, them, why is it like that? And why does this keep happening? And I was like, shit, it's totally me.
Let me tell you. So when I used to work in corporate America, it was one of the last mental challenges I had in corporate America. So the first time I got a job review, so I read a book on psychology on negotiations when I was really young.
This is going the wrong direction already.
I'm different, okay? I fell in love with like wisdom because when I was a kid, I used to read Proverbs. I used to think, I want to be like this when I get older. So the first time they did it, for the first time I got into a couple of like reviews, like end of year reviews, I was like, I don't like the way I feel. So I went to a psychology book, and it's called The Power. I think the book's called The Power of the Eyes. And they say, look, if you really want to disable somebody in a negotiation, wear sunglasses. Because human beings use validation. We validate each other through our eyes, right? So I walk in the room. This is no lie. I'm working at AAA. They bring me in. It's the end of the year review. I walk in, my uniform, sit down. I got on these big black Ray-Bans. Can't see my eyes at all. Said, remove your glasses. I said, I remove my glasses. You remove 2 people out the room. They said, what? I said, because you guys playing the 3-1. 3-1 is going to make it seem like you guys have facts and I don't. So you're going to do a one-on-one conversation, I'll remove my glasses. Otherwise, I'm not going to do this. Right? Something's still wrong with me, okay?
That is hilarious.
Yeah. Where was I going with this boy? Oh, okay. So then I left the office. I said, so I never removed my glasses, by the way, because they didn't move the third person. And one dude started getting frustrated because I started giving him some feedback, and the supervisor started crying. I'm not lying.
Can you imagine managing Nana? Oh my God.
Yeah, for a little while until I crashed the car. So I got fired because I had an accident. But anyway, no, the same supervisor, he patted me on the head one time, and then when he went to walk away, I kicked him in his ass. And I said, I kicked you in the ass because you're not supposed to touch me like me on his head. So you learn that lesson. So I was the younger version of me. This is my 20s. Anyway. I already knew I was not meant. I already knew I was a wolf in a doghouse, and I knew I was gonna get fired. Every job I got, I was like, somehow I'm gonna lead up to a point where I'm gonna challenge power, and they're gonna fire me. So I was just trying to maximize my income as fast as possible because I don't want to get fired. Someone will be like, I'm not doing that, right? They let me know, okay, Nana. I'm also the kind of person like, if you want to see me do something, tell me what I can't do. That almost pisses me off, right? Even my wife be like, I know how to get you to do some shit. Like, what? Just tell you can't? Whatever. It does work. Anyway, so, but here's the big challenge I had is, I said to myself, at the time I was really militant, super militant, like hated white people. I was defensive. I had no offense. I was all defense. Super militant, read all the most militant books. I could have did a poetry called Kill the White Man and been happy with it. Kill the white man. I was hella militant, right? And that's because in your 20s, you just think I was totally victimized. But I asked myself a question. If white folks give me feedback in an interview, is it valid? Triple that for a second. I didn't want to hear anything white people had to say to me because I was so militant. And then I had to realize, why can't they give you feedback? And because they don't culturally see me, they don't know me, they don't know where I'm coming from. That was all defense. I had to realize that I don't give a fuck what your background is. Feedback doesn't mean all feedback is good. Doesn't mean that all feedback you need to respond to. Don't mean all feedback is your customer's feedback. Some feedback is irrelevant because you're not my customer, right? I'm not going to satisfy the 2% and destroy the 98%, right? Don't try it. It's not the same thing. So I was like, wait a minute, hold on, give me a microphone. I know what the fuck I got to say. What I had to process is that in corporate America, those of you who still have jobs, sometimes you labeled everybody around you as the aggressor, or not seeing you, or not validating you, or not being the same race as you, or you're not receiving the rich feedback, and they have an intimate relationship with you. And it's a hard thing to understand. Not saying that person is insightful and everybody give you feedback, but it's worth the engagement. And many of you guys won't even engage the process because when you sit down in that room, you're so defensive, going back to old Nana. You're so defensive. Everything example I gave you and painted, I was flawed. Mm-hmm. That was all flawed behavior. It was worth the engagement because even if they misdiagnosed me, there still was some insights for me to gain from that. And they might give you a blind spot you can't see. I was only in my 20s, sitting in a room with men who are 30 plus, 30 and in 50s. And I'm like, these motherfuckers can't tell me shit. They white supremacy. What the white man gonna tell me? You doing a bad job, maybe? Right. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you think you better than you really are, right? Like, that's a hard thing to stomach, but a lot of times, going back to your point, labeling destroys sometimes the messenger.
So true.
The messenger doesn't fit your label sometimes.
That's so true. That is so true. And what we'll do is we'll put a label in front of the message to negate the whole message. Oh, well, they white, or they this, or that's a Karen. Well, time out. In some instances, if you sitting in front of somebody's house, slapping music
and barbecuing,
smoking weed in front of somebody's house, and all the cars is crammed up in front of somebody, I would be mad too. But since I can label you, then that makes everything else I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we got to be smart too. Like labeling and mislabeling is a lot of times justification for our fuckery in our shitty behavior. So what? Like the truth is the truth. Like, the thing that I wanted to also say is some of our frustrations a lot of times as black folks is the feeling of being mislabeled by other cultures. So like you feel frustrated or angry because you're being mislabeled. Well, I used to feel that way too. Is you feel powerless, like you mislabeled me, and now you got me stuck inside this prism of being mislabeled. Well, you allowed all your power to be taken away. There's tools that you can have to turn that mislabeling into power on your side, to where you control the room now. And I used to try to defend being mislabeled with aggression and anger and dominance. And all that did was prove that the mislabeling that I thought was happening was actually true. Oh, see, there you go. That's what I thought. You're doing what I thought you do. Oh, now you're getting aggressive now. That's what you guys do. So the key to it is there's tools you can use once you learn this game. Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be mislabeled. You can use that to your advantage and turn the game around to where they're like, oh, shit. I thought you were 2, but now you're an 8 in my eyes, and that distance gives you leverage. Instead of being frustrated about it, don't allow yourself to be emotionally controlled by it. Now you can use it.
Did you? let me make sure you guys understand what he said. It was so damn dope. We're dynamic. We're not static. We're dynamic. We're not static. I can see Yapasua. Let's say Yapasua pissed me off. Let's say he did something. He pissed me off. 2 years later, I run across him and I label him as somebody who does this. He's grown. He's changed. How do you allow the world to evolve? How do you engage a dynamic world when your judgment is so static? You can't. Like labeling makes everything stay the same when nothing's staying the same. Some of y'all just grow out of that behavior. It fucking ain't no. It's just I'm too tired of this shit. like I used to be a stick up kid, but goddamn it, I can't even run no more. If I rob you, shit, I gotta hope you just somehow pass out. I don't have the energy, right? So things just change with everybody around you, and so that's why you have to move with this idea that I gotta know the people around me. Don't get me wrong. If you're walking down an alley and a dude is looking real grimy, it's not time to be like, I'm not gonna label. I suggest you get your ass in the car and say, I wonder what he was thinking. But go home, right? Accept that label. But what I'm trying to explain is that when you move in this world, people are so dynamic. Or there's another one. The cancel culture is a horrible labeling culture. You may have said nappy-headed hoes. We're not going back. The radio dude said nappy-headed hoes. But is that all he is? Let's be real. Is that all he is? The labeling just makes you just paint somebody one color. People are not one color. I was telling my partners today, and I said, can you work with a world that's imperfect? A lot of you guys get so professional, you miss out on the talent that surrounds you. You know how I learned that? I had a part of my mentor who was buying and selling houses when you can buy a house in Oakland for $60,000. This was about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. That's how much the market shifted. You can find an old ran down house in West Oakland for 60 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand, right? He hired the neighborhood crackhead that would run his security 24 hours on his spot and did a lot of the grunt work. And that crackhead did his crack, but was an amazing employee. He lost his copper losses went down to zero. His people sneaking in there to try to use it. The crackhead locked that shit down. And then the crackhead turned around and worked. And he paid the crackhead decent wage. It was like a minimum wage of that era, right? He didn't say, oh, he doing crack, I can't fuck with him. How can I say this? Every business is not going to be neat and clean. You may have somebody who's a recovering addict, as long as they don't cross a certain line and they take out the trash of your business every week, they got a job. Or you may have somebody doing grunt work where they just moving stuff, and there's not a chance they're going to do theft, but some of us get so moral. Like, oh, he cusses. That's a label. What is fucking? Yeah. I curse. I don't call people out their names, and I don't destroy people. If I hurt you, and like I would never say you B, you N, you MF. Like, that's not my language. If I come for you like that, I'm trying to destroy our relationship. But you see me say, God damn it, this motherfucker, right? You'd be like, oh, not a curse. I just can't hear anything yet. I'm sorry, that labeling got you like that. And it's strange that you could label me but not label yourself like that. Is it defensive? Is it another limitation of yours? Can you see a person beyond that? Like, Master Chris is the master of working around labels. Pastor Chris. Hey, better not text me no shit. Don't call Master Chris. I know you funny like that. Be like, yo, this is Master Chris getting at you. But Pastor Chris works with a diversity of church members that are crazy diversity. I'm his partner. Pastor Chris don't curse like me at all. And that's my brother. I mean, when I say that's my brother, I mean, if he called me right now, I'd be like, no, I need you to drive out to Pittsburgh. We got to handle some business. Fuck, tonight? Yeah, all right, I'm on my way. Right? The reality is that this man is able to live amongst a diversity of so-called labels and still lead the flock. Some of us can't do that. We're so stuck on labels that we only want to associate with people with labels we're comfortable with. Can you have a punk rock friend? Can you? Can you have a white dude who's one of my close friends, partner? Like, honestly, if some shit was going down right now in my house, I was like, yo, I can't get to my house. Load up and go to my house right now. He'll have too many guns, but he will show up. He is the most right-wing, white cowboy dude you ever met in your life. And he's so, if you're around him, he don't give a fuck. He's a man's man. My partner, if he called me right now, yo, I need you to come through. And when his baby was first born, he's like, hold my baby. I was shaking because I don't hold babies. I feel like I'm going to crush him or something, squeeze him too hard. I don't know what to do. My brain just freaks out. We're that close. We're like, got love for this man. We're very different. We're like he's like the black, he's a white version of my blackness. I'm the black version of his. We're like the pro-white, pro-black dudes that get along hella well. Like, that is my dog for life. Can you do that? Or does a label say, nah, he's pro-white, so I don't even fuck with him. When he's pro-white, he ain't anti-black, he's just pro-white. It's a difference. Like, he ain't no KKK or no, the black people are holding us back. He don't talk like that. But he loves his culture. He loves the fuck he is. He loves his white skin. He loves his... His wife ain't white, though, but he loves her. He loves her.
look at Kaja. You start.
Okay, look at the shots.
Okay,
more black women. See, that's why I told y'all you didn't put the camera on me. Let me tell you what the fuck's going on.
See, right. Hey, I'll tell you this on that point is I had a when I was young, my first company, we had did a nonprofit thing at Brookdale Park just for it was called Stop the Shoot and Start the Hoop, and it was I don't know if you remember, it was corn, but it was trying to do something positive for the neighborhood, getting them to stop shooting guns at each other. So I didn't know Oakland Tribune was going to be there, and they did an article on that event, and so I ended up in that story, and they put my phone number at the bottom. So, wow. So that whole Sunday morning, my phone blowing up, and it's grandma's like, "Are you single, honey? My granddaughter." And I'm like, "No." Or people like, "I got this T-shirt idea." So by like afternoon, I don't even want to pick up my phone no more. I'm irritated. Phone rings, so I'm like, "Hello," and it was a white dude like, "Hey, I saw the article in the newspaper. I thought I might help you out." I'm like, "Okay, what's your hustle? What's your business?" Oh. And he was like, "My name is Hap Klopp. I'm the founder of North Face." Mm-hmm. I said, "Oh, hi, sir. How you doing?" Hey, he was like, "Yeah, I like what you're doing. Come to my office. I'll give you some tips, give you some advice, and you can run your business by it, and I can see how I can help." What? Yeah, come. Gave me the address. I pull up. Gigantic office. I didn't know he was a Berkeley dude. Beautiful, gigantic office. I walk in, everybody's like, and I'm like, where Hap at? I'm supposed to meet him. They're like, "You mean the CEO of this company?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to meet him." And it was like, "Can you call security?" So he comes out like, no, he with me. So he we go to the back, and he took me to his office, and he taught me hella shit about building a brand, clothing brand, a niche brand, how he built it, his rules, his pyramids of how he structures, how he created the niche, how he started. And he's like, "Come here every Friday at this time, and we'll do this every Friday." And I did it every week for like 8 months. Bruh, he didn't have no reason. You talking about labeling and mislabeling? And me and him became like I can call him now, and he would be like, "What's up, Court?" We would meet at the coffee shop, and he's an OG, and we just sitting there talking, and people would be looking like, "What the fuck is this? I don't understand this." Like these two from opposite ends, because he has the most pure heart. He doesn't label anything or anybody. And he would talk current events, and then he'd teach me business and how to think. And so when it was time to build Courtsmith at the beginning, I was like, "Yo, this is what my idea is." He's like, "Oh, let's do it. I have these investors owe me favors. So go to these addresses. They owe me favors. I'm going to set it up for you. You go, and they'll write some checks." And I walk in like, "No, that didn't happen." He looked at me and was like, "No, thank you." And he's like, "What? I can't believe. I'm like, "Hap, you feel like that. You have this heart, but not everybody sees the world the way you see it." You know what I'm saying? But the beauty of the labeling and mislabeling and not doing that is when you see the world a certain way, it opens up to you. It opens wide open, and you can see money plays and business ideas and ways to generate revenue and friendships and loyalties that people are just walking right past. It's like seeing money on the ground, and you like can't understand why nobody sees it. It's because most people are labeling. That's a chewing gum wrapper. That's chewing gum wrapper. Versus like, no, that's money. And then like, well, how'd you get that? Where'd that come from? You walk right past it. And so that's like the beauty of of living in a space where you don't label anybody is the friendships that you build that could be lifelong friendships. I got homies just like that, man, like friends, people that I kill and die for, who wouldn't fit the narrative of whatever you consider cultural.
Our last slide.
Personalization, taking responsibility for things outside your control. For example, believing you caused someone's moodiness or irritation without evidence.
Okay, this can go. This is two directions. I'm gonna try. Personalization is when I see it all the time. I want to kind of skip past the lower level and go straight to the higher level. Personalization quite often where you start to blame yourself or think you had something to do with it, or inject yourself into a situation, and I'm sorry you feel that way. I didn't know. Like, you almost make yourself causation of how other people feel, but you also personalize what other people are going through. Mm-hmm. That's so powerful. If you are on YouTube and you have this kind of distortion, you feel all kind of emotions on YouTube. Where, like with me, I don't feel very much. I feel curious, but I don't have any control of those things. Like, I remember the first time I learned this, I felt it was heartless. It's not. I'll give you an example. God bless his soul. Rest in peace. My father-in-law. There's one thing the family had a consensus they disagreed with. He is an amazing person, did amazing things. But there's one thing they had a consensus that they didn't like. He would tell you what's happening in every other country except the household he lived in. Y'all seen that before? Where they worried about everything in the world besides the life you have. You personalizing what happened in Gaza and can't even see what's happening with your kid going to school right now. You personalizing Snoop Dogg and what's other dude, Nelly, at Trump's event, and you got Casamon in your backyard. You personalizing George Floyd and you live in Oakland, to the point you're tearing up streets in Oakland. It's not Milwaukee, people. I'm not saying you don't care. I'm saying personalization is you misdirect your responses to the current events. We got a chance to do insights on OPD right after George Floyd, right before George Floyd. OPD was already defunded. So they was, whoo! Y'all have no idea how bad it is. They have to buy their own guns. Their radio system was so trash that they were using their cell phones to coordinate with other officers to meet on calls, because they just was trash, right? Their car inside their cars. Go back to your first car. It's probably better. They were still driving Crown Victorias. Have y'all seen a Crown Victoria any used store, any used shop at all since then? You don't even see Crown Victorias in the hood no more. They was driving them motherfuckers. Meaning, okay, old car, when you hit a corner, that shit goes, right? Or new car, zoop. So imagine they chase a criminal. They shouldn't chase. The car's too old. They don't have. That's why everybody said, you know what, fuck that, man. Y'all just don't even chase nobody. You ain't gonna catch them any fucking way. But OPD was so underfunded that when defund the police happened over okay, let me help you out. A brother robs a store in Milwaukee, and then you go in the store and they lay you down on the ground and says, I think you might rob the store because of what happened in Milwaukee. See personalization? Mm-hmm. Or you online and a man says something really foul to a woman, and you say, this is why I don't be trusting men, because they be all thinking like this. What?
Yo, here's some more. Kids do it. My mother and father divorced, and kids think it was their fault. Said it was my fault. I'll do better. I'll behave better, I promise. I'll get better grades. Personalization. Or when physical abuse happens in a relationship where a man puts his hands on a woman, and some women will say, it was my fault. It was my fault. See, you're thinking you caused that person's behavior, when in actuality, that was an inevitable action that was going to happen because of their own behavior. See, personalization is dangerous because we're thinking we caused things that the causation was because of us, but it's not. It's not correlated. So, this is critical in life and in business. Stop personalizing. Stop thinking somebody's in a bad mood, it's about you. It ain't about you. Somebody comes home and they in a bad mood, you think you caused it. It ain't got nothing to, it more than likely don't have nothing to do with you. Once we get clear on detaching ourselves from personalization and saying, hey, that's not my journey. Even somebody who's upset with you or projecting on you or labeling you, mislabeling you, whatever the fuck. That's them projecting their feelings on you. You made me feel like this. They're trying to tell you to personalize. And you say, and if you conscious enough, you saying, don't fucking do that shit. Like, don't project what you feel onto me. That's you. That's not you. What's happening here is not my journey. And that takes a lot, especially if you've
desensitized.
Yeah, like it takes a lot to detach, because you're gonna feel like an asshole around people.
It feels so much like an asshole when you first do it.
You're gonna feel like an asshole because so I don't care. This shit ain't not my journey. When I was in my woo-woo classes, I learned that long time ago. It's called "That's Not My Journey." Their journey. Their journey. So personalizing is this one is a huge one because it happens all the time. Moods are created when people personalize things that have nothing to do. They had nothing to do with it. I don't. Nana walked past me and didn't speak. So that means I must have did something. What? Like you didn't ask no questions? Here's the other thing. This class it's mean towards this group or that group or that's what you feel. Don't personalize that. That's what you got going on in your life, and now you projecting that on us. If we all want to be good business people, we have to take ourselves out of the equation and say the words. It ain't about us. Nobody gives a fuck. It's not about you. Your feelings, who you are, what you did, a lot of times we ain't that important. Last thing I'm gonna say is personalization happens on the other end too. If your business takes a spike, or you get a big win in your business, or you doing very good in your business, personalization happens too sometimes. Yeah, that was on me. I did that. I made that happen. I can write now the 10 secrets of success because I did that. You had a little bit to do with it, but what about the other 70% that was out of your control? The people, the staff, the structures, God, luck, blessings, magic, all kind of shit that was out of your control. So personalization happens on both sides of the track.
It's so let me just explain this real quick. As we both alluded to, when you first practice a form of removing personalization, you'll find that it feels like you're just losing your human empathy. It does feel like you're losing your human empathy. You're actually not. You're just not misusing your empathy. Misuse of your empathy is making everything about you and how you feel. It's a weight that steals from not only you but your loved ones, right? It's like I'm not gonna label her this way, but she kind of creates this on TV persona is like the good Whoopi Goldberg effect or the D.L. Hughley effect. He has it bad. He done got me mad. D.L., calm the fuck down, bro. It ain't none of this shit matters, bro. Like, so? Like, I just want this. So? Why are you mad about it? I gotta say, you saying, hey, I don't like what that person did. But you see the anger that that man shows when something unfair happens in society. He don't even have all the facts. But he's feeling some kind of way, right? Or, let me show you personalization, because I'm circling, because it's this. Let me go to the other side of the circle. You're trying to make everybody in your office feel comfortable, so you're shaping your behavior because you think that you control how they feel about themselves. Social justice. I gotta be careful. I don't want to offend nobody. I gotta make sure. I gotta say, who in the fuck are you now? If the world's diverse, and I was raised in a household that said yes, ma'am, and the trans him walks in the room, but still wears a dress. And I just have to look at him and say, yes, ma'am. I'm not a ma'am. I'm not personalized. That's your problem. I'm not trying to be offensive. The way I try to stop myself from personalization, personally, is pay attention to my intent. If I intended to disrespect this person and that person comes at me, I'm going to feel like shit because I did that on purpose. But you're going to walk through life, you're going to break a lot of eggs. You're going to break a lot of damn eggs. You can't personalize every time somebody gets offended. When you become a leader, do you realize you're going to piss people off for everything? There ain't no such thing as a leader who's powerful that everybody likes. Do you realize how many people, if you're phenomenal over here, there's another group of people that fucking think you suck? If you guys pay attention to that podcast I put out, McDonald's was personalizing the customers who didn't like them, that they were underserving the customers who loved them. Think about that. McDonald's could have said, oh shit, I know y'all don't like me, but these are the ones that like me, right? They were losing market share trying to serve the ones who didn't like them. And ignoring the ones who loved them. When a consultant came in and said, no, fuck them, they ain't your customers. You're never gonna satisfy them. Focus on the one that love you, and then you realize you're underserving them, and if you focus on really serving them, they're the ones that are gonna take you back to the top, which took them back to the top. They're still at the number one fast food business in the United States right now. Because they didn't personalize. But when you personalize, this is when feedback doesn't work. I made the customer mad. No, I didn't. I didn't wake up in the morning like, fuck that customer. I'm going to find the customer and make them mad. Like, there's somebody in Hope. Y'all all probably know somebody who's personalized us. One of us. Probably me.
Both of us.
They really talk shit about me all the time. I don't give a fuck. Right?
True.
Am I supposed... Keep it... Come on, sis. Tell the shit.
True.
Right? But did I stop teaching because of that? I could easily be like, oh, they you know what? Fuck it. I ain't fucking... Because I got a whole bunch of black folks who are performing in Hope. Whole bunch of black folks, I'm watching them scale and grow in Hope. Do I allow the ones who are... Don't get me wrong. You got to be able to read feedback and go, okay, is it true? Is it something I can't see? All feedback deserves investigation. But you also got to know who's not your customer. Because you're taking feedback from somebody, let me help you out. Customer says, you know what, you should change your business because we need this at our company. And if you just do this new business, it'd be great for us. And as you adjust your business, and let's say you serve them and things are going good, and then they walk away for a competitor, you just build a product nobody wants. That's personalization. See where I'm going with this? You think that you are impacting them, ain't got nothing to do with that. You gotta be able to separate that and go, I can't serve these people. There's nothing I can do for these people. There are certain groups of people that they're never gonna like you just because. There's certain women who think I'm just too masculine. I don't know what the fuck to do with you. I don't know how the fuck my masculine got you pissed off. So I don't give a fuck. I give more of a fuck about the dust underneath your grass than I give a fuck about their opinion. Because at the end of the day, my masculinity is doing the damn thing over here. My daughter is a bad little girl because my masculinity tells her she's safe to be that motherfucker. So now you over here talking about you should show up like this. I don't give a fuck. But if I was personalizing and I saw her crying and like, it really hurt me, Nana, when you said men should be strong because my son ain't strong. My son's a bitch. And I don't say why you don't recognize bitches.
What is going on?
I don't give a fuck. That's why I'm doing it this way. Right? The reality is that I'm not going to stop my masculinity role because your son's a bitch. I am not the bitch leader. Like, just straight up. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Fuck you.
Do you think there's a difference in the way you approach this when you are in, I feel like you touched on it a little bit just a moment ago, but when you're in a leadership position? I ask this because if you are the person responsible for leading, do you own more of a share in the state of being of the people who you're leading? Like, I identify with this a lot as a parent of an adult child. When my daughter started to have experiences as a grown woman and a mother, I was personalizing a lot of it because this person has been under your tenure more years than not. So you own some of the things that are happening. So if you look at that from a business standpoint,
beautiful. Go ahead with it. Come on.
You are responsible for the tonality. When these people are out here, how they're showing up is a reflection back on.
There's a certain degree of you're true.
So how do you hold that when you're in the leadership position?
This is so good because when my son started acting up, my wife was personalizing everything and it was destroying her. I'm talking about destroying her from the inside out. And I had to remind her, you're not the only influencer. And you don't control their choices. Same thing with your employees. I'm not their only influencer and I don't control their choices. If you at home doing cocaine and sleeping around with some crazy shit, I'm just supposed to think that because you come in my office, you're gonna just line up with me? Like, that's why motherfuckers get fired, right? The reality is that it's two sides to this conversation. You got to learn more about people and human behavior and what you do have control over and what you don't have control over. You got to realize that also too, there's a cost of managing diversity. You're gonna manage diversity and everybody gonna agree with you. It ain't gonna happen. And if you allow the diversity to become a splinter, it could destroy your company from the inside out. So at some point, we can talk this democratic shit, but at some point, I will be a dictator. At some things, I will become a dictator. Okay, cool. Here are all your opinions, but we're going this way. Because I'm willing to gamble. I'm the one that's going to pay the cost for the decision, and I'm willing to gamble in some cases, take ownership and make that bet. Right? I also understand that because I'm managing a diverse group of people, the word "high" means something. When I first met Shabisha, I'm gonna just tell one bad old story. Shabisha got mad at a white man because he said, "Have a good day," because to her that was offensive.
It was. Nice smile.
Nice smile, yeah, nice smile, right? Okay,
I'm just kidding.
but that's because of what the space she's in.
Yeah.
What is that white man supposed to do with that? What if that white man comes from a culture where that's a very nice way of saying, "How you doing?" to a beautiful woman? Mm-hmm. How is he supposed to respond to what I feel based on where I come from? Yeah. And then you join another team. Fuck your where you come from. Yeah. Because you have to draw. Okay, human beings are not meant to be. I hate to say this. You got to build systems to say this is what we do here. This is not what we do based upon everything y'all think. So when you come in my system, I'm going to orientate you and say, when you hear, we move like this. By the way, y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about because that's what y'all do when y'all go to your corporate jobs. Get the fuck up out of here. That's what they do to y'all every day. When y'all say, I'm being professional, that means you're living within the guidelines of what they say. I don't give a fuck how hood you are outside. I don't give a fuck how much you slap a bitch if she say some shit wrong. When you in this space right here, if you want to continue to get $200,000 a year, this is how the fuck you deal with your complaints. And I bet you better not call this white woman a bitch and expect me to give you another $200,000. I do the same thing. There is no, that whole idea of all the time freedom and do what the fuck I want to do, that shit only happens at orgies. That shit don't happen in my house. I'm just saying, like, that's when y'all just doing some freaky shit and everybody just do what the fuck. In my house, there's rules.
Hey, yo.
You understand me?
I don't think that's an AO.
That's it. You understand me? You understand me? So look, I'm saying this. So what I'm suggesting is that I can't, even like as an older man and I'm running a company and young people come with a new belief. This happened to the colleges. Oh, the Gaza thing, and now the social justice thing. Now they don't want. I had a school town. I can never say the school. They gave the kids a coffee shop at the school to run, right? The kids tore down the Jewish anything and only put a Palestinian. Took down every flag and just put a Palestinian flag. The college said you can't do that. They said, please leave. We do what we want to do. The college was literally sitting in the room going, what should we do? I said, hold it. Y'all don't work for Nana. I wish a mother. Like the next, I would call locksmith, hey man, listen, as soon as Lisa leaves, change all the motherfucking locks. And then, hire Tyrone, Michael, and Lily, put them in the front door, and when they come to work the next day, tell them they can't come back. And by the way, send this envelope in the mail that says, leave my motherfucking school. But they couldn't do that because they was personalizing how these kids felt. And like, I feel for them and I want to make a move, but I feel like they're going to be hurt. And I feel, you're personalizing. You don't, no, stop all that. When you fire somebody, you can't do that if you personalize. You can't do it. When you fire, you be like, if I fire them, they're going to lose their job. They can be able to pay their bills. This is the cool part. When you fire somebody, 3 years later, they come back and be like, thank you. Because you helped me see something about myself. One of my close ass partners, never call his name. Close. He's like nephew. This is like nephew. Like, this is my motherfucking boy. He's like, no, I want to work with you on some business stuff. I've been studying marketing and I want to do project management or some marketing sales with you. And I'm looking at him like, this motherfucker got me fucked up. I don't see it. So he's talking to me and every time I say something in the gym, he's like, yeah, I know that too. Yeah, I know that too. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, I do that. Yeah. Matter of fact, the way what you're talking about is da. All right, cool. Come do an interview with me and Mashama. So he's doing an interview, and he's sounding so dumbfounded, it's ridiculous. He done hustled himself. He done hustled too hard. So in the interview, I say, man, don't you ever fuck with my time again like this again. You fucking wrong to show up this fucking interview. In front of Mashama, I say, you know what the fuck you talking about. You have no skills, no talent. You wasting my motherfucking time. Don't you ever do no shit like this again. You know, but this is you forgot who I am, and you turned your hustle on me. You got to remember you hustling. And I ain't got no problem with you hustling, but know the fuck I am. And that hustle you just ran was trash. You're not qualified to fuck with me. I don't even know what the fuck you wasted my motherfucking time. Something in our friendship going to be over. So one day I'm chilling, hollering at some dudes on the block because I was in front of my shop and they was about to do it. I was like, man, hold the fuck up. I'm talking to these dudes pull off. He pull up. I'm thinking, I cuss this motherfucker out. He going to ask me these bitch ass questions. He's like, yo, man, I just want to say thank you, bro. I needed that. I said, oh yeah, okay, all right, I do. I'm already like, fuck you want, right? Like he's like, yo, my bad. But you'll be surprised. But if you personalize it, everything I was feeling, it wasn't what he was feeling. You would be surprised how much I would tiptoe around what I have to say. Now I figure how to say things that may shock your system. I figured a way to say it. But I wouldn't be able to say even that if I personalized what I thought you was gonna feel. You see how powerful that shit is? Like it will lock you up in business where you can't move because you can't even tell your employee that you sit next to, that idea sucks, bruh. You've ever just come to kind of offices where nobody would say the truth because everybody's personalizing what the next person's gonna feel. So nobody will even give honest feedback to their peers like, man, that design sucks. You should think about that differently. You're like, I don't want to offend you, and I want to say something about your design, but if you don't want to hear me, it's cool because, and then in the end, the whole project fails because the team is too fragile to give feedback because they personalize in what the person's going to feel. Like, you're going to hurt their feelings if you say that. I wouldn't say that to them because it's going to hurt their feelings. You're going to set your personalizing expertise ass up.
Hey, my daughter, we were eating dinner. My woman made lamb, right? So we tearing this lamb up. It's hella good.
You understand me?
And my daughter is like, wait a minute, is this like lamb, like the little lambs that walk? And I said, yeah, you eating one. And she like put it down and she was like, but I love lambs like this. So she started thinking about the cute little lambs. I said, hey, but that lamb is hella good, huh? She's like, yeah, it is. It's hella good. I said, that lamb's already gone. So you got to let go of the feeling. Like, if you felt this way about all kind of food, you wouldn't eat, because even plants are alive. So you have to realize that it's not your journey to worry about the lamb that's sitting, the food that's sitting on your plate. It's for you to eat. And I think we personalize shit that really ain't got nothing to do with us, that we don't even need to be personalizing. Like, your journey is your journey. Like he said, as a leader, we gonna piss people off. If you don't piss some people off as a leader, you ain't leading good.
Leading good. You lead well.
You don't realize that you piss people off anyway. When you driving on a road, some of y'all driving hella raggedy. You don't even know that you almost hit a person or that you got into a lane just because the car just backed up for you and you didn't even realize it. Like, there's things we do. We cut people off. We walk into doors. We have conversations. If you have a job, you took someone's job from them. Other people interview for that job too. Do you care about where they are right now in life, or whether or not they eating or not? No. So we also pick and choose the things we personalize. Oh, I love dogs. I love the animals. Save the animals. All right. Well, when you on 580 and you see a half hit deer or animal on the side of the road that's just a pound of meat, do you pull over and try to figure out if it's alive or dead? No, you swerve around it like everybody else. Like, personalization cannot be a pick and choose situation. You have to move. And if your intent is good and you have good intent and you are self-aware, where you know if you made a mistake, then oh man, that was my fault, or you have a sense of remorse for it. Other than that, that's life. That's life. That's you in a space. You're working, and the world kind of moves around you, and the rest of it is not, a lot of that is not your journey to personalize. Some of us won't even get out the house because we personalize too much. And some of us won't take leaps into what we want to do because we personalize so much. Some of you guys are talented as fuck, but you so worried about what the person next to you is doing that you don't want to hurt their feelings. So you don't want to really stand and be the best version of yourself because of how you think the person next to you that you like so much feels. That's whack as fuck. Guess what? That wrong person's the person next to you is the wrong person, because eventually the person that you need around you who wants to help you get better is gonna find you. But us personalizing how people feel around us and tiptoeing because of feelings, you're limiting your life. You're hurting yourself, and we ain't got time for that. Fuck them. And if you got good intentions, then, man, yeah, you're going to step on some ants sometimes on accident, and you ain't even thinking about it. 'Cause, you ain't tripping about the ants you stepped on or the bugs you stepped on, the flowers you killed walking up to this room. So personalization is a jailer to a lot of us. It's period. And if you are sensitive and soft, then you'll always find reasons to sit in the corner and be like, oh, they hurt me, or is this fault, is that fault? Yeah, that's true. Stay there. But if we got purpose and we moving, then you got to chalk that to the game. It's just what it is.
So with that being said, remember, podcasts, we're going to go into the 2 books next week. and liminal thinking and emotional agility.
Emotional agility.
It starts next week. And I can't wait to teach. I've been wanting to teach liminal thinking. Even when he was teaching, I got some shit I want to talk about. 2, this week's podcast, remember, it's going to be an audio book. It's a 2.5-hour book, but it's the most richest book full of just quick strategy. I don't agree with every strategy, but I'm going to say the last class of the month for you guys to take notes. The email will go out to all the paid students, and you guys will get the name of the book, and you guys will get the audio book. It's going to cost you about $5 to go get it on Audible books. Get an Audible version. Don't. This is one of the books you just want to throw in the Audible because it's easy to understand. But the strategy, I promise you, is probably one of the best quick checks, like to run through your business, going, am I doing this? Am I doing that? Am I thinking about this wrong? Am I thinking about that wrong? It's really fast. And then on the last class of February, which is we go 3 classes on, 1 class is off every month. The last class of February, we're gonna start off discussing we're gonna discuss that book. It's gonna be the main focus, or if there's any questions you have from the class, the previous 2 classes. So at the end of every month, we're gonna have a discussion class where we're sit down and just talk about stuff. You can say, hey, in my business, I'm doing it this way. The book said this. Does that make sense? How should I think about this? Similar to what Kasha did, where we're going to really get into the question, and we're going to sit around and almost do a powwow, even though it's online. Those of you online who are paid members, Shabisha and ambassadors, we're working on our ambassadors. We got a few people that say they're going to be ambassadors. We'll be announcing that soon. But the ambassadors will be taking the questions, lobbing them up to class, and also raising your questions as part of the discussion. So bring your questions to class online as well as in person. They will be lobbed into the questions. We're narrowing down. If 10 people asking the same question, we'll keep asking that question over and over. There's not what's his name, Umar. You just keep saying the same shit over and over and over. So we're gonna be able to answer the questions. So next week, make sure you're reading your book. We will announce what chapters we're pulling the classes from, so you guys can read it for yourself. And once again, you will get the link to the Audible book. Buy the Audible book. Throw it in your car. Throw it in your headphones when you get at the gym. I promise you, we just gave you 2 branding or 3 branding podcasts. This strategy podcast, I promise you, is going to get you juiced. So with that being said, as they say in Russia, stay warm.
Peace.